know what that noise is. Maybe it's because I'm on the phone too. So I just wanted to make sure you could hear. So again, good afternoon, my Teaserking family. We'll try that again. I could definitely hear noise. I was just testing it. It's the same thing. You can hear me now. So there might have been, it's a built-in mic, right? So there's nothing that I do. It's the same. I go in, I say I'm doing a live show. I can chat with everybody and that. So I don't know. The mic was on, but anyway, glad that that's okay. So we got a ball game tonight, and I don't know if we want to start college or pro. One thing I did notice is Alabama's line has gone down to 1.5. I don't know why. I didn't see an injury, so I'm a little baffled by it. Last night I was looking at past weeks to see plays over, play over, under, play over, under, play under, to see if there was any type of, there's two over teams, let's just play the game over. Sort of like South Florida UAB. They're both over teams, high scoring, no defense. Should we just play the game over? So I'm looking into coming up with, of course, the professor's idea of how do we pick better and more winners. So one guy did say he's looking at, I think it was 7 men out or 7 out men or whatever. He's looking at my site saying, well, you're down 13,000 units. But what you got to realize is, now I'm thinking about this. Well, yeah, but I'm usually about 2,000 units. My locks are about 2,700 units. Really, they're 27 units. That's really the price. So I'm down 13,000 is really what he's saying, not 13,000 units. The units would have been not a lot. But again, it's like I said, if I'm doing, let's say I do 1,500 units a play, so it's only really, I'm down like 5 games, 6 games, and a couple of locks. So really that's, I didn't know where he was going with that. The fact I'm down, yeah, we all know it was the second and the first few weeks are always more difficult. Then if you look at the last 2 weeks, they're very successful, and I expect the same going forward now that I have that. So in my site now, I have 2 locks. I have a college pro lock and a college lock. I played the game tonight. The Washington game, and against the Bears. And Washington minus, let's see what it is. So I've actually played it. I normally don't like playing these Thursday night games. So I have played that. I've got a lock in. A lock on Sunday that I really like. There's about 5 strong pro games I like. College, I'm trying to be more careful. Superficially, I find 15, 20 games. And really, college I'm doing very well in. The problem is, last week, I had Oklahoma under with Iowa State in 2 teasers. So 1 loss, killed 2 teasers. But that's how I play. Normally I play the week before, I had Iowa State, Georgia under, both unders locked, and they won, and I had Iowa State in 2 teasers. So my normal way is when I find a very strong play to put it in 2 teasers. So that's not unusual, and that's how I am very successful picking. So that's fine. I do have a college game tonight. I have the college game tonight, and I have the Washington game tonight. And our free pick, Oklahoma, with our free pick, Miami over the Giants. So it's a college pro free pick. Pros have gotten a whole lot easier because I'm able to document. So let's go in. Let's start with our pros. Let's start with our pro injuries. Specifically, make sure we got the Bears Redskins, who are tonight. Nothing really on Arizona. Well, let's go to Chicago. Let's do this first, then we'll check everybody else. Chicago, DB out, DB hamstring, so he's out, DB out, 4 DB, 5 DPs are out. No wonder they can't stop they can't, everybody scores against them. 2 offensive linemen are out, and 1/3 is questionable for tonight, and a defensive lineman. So this is the Bears' problem, right? You've got, how many other teams have 4 DBs that are out? Now, I don't know if they're all starters, but how many do you have? And it just says DB. It doesn't say cornerback or safety. So 1, 2, 4 out. A 5th is questionable with the hamstring. And 2 offensive linemen are out, with a 3rd questionable with the leg. So you don't have much offensive linemen, and all your defensive backs are out. Look for Fields to start running around like he did before. Then let's see. Let's go to Washington, the Redskins. All right, we got probable. Samuel, the receiver, probable. Dotson, probable. So a lot of probables. Wide receiver, I never heard of. Mine is out. Defensive end out. Defensive tackles out. 2 tight ends are on the IR. 2D tackles are on the IR. Cornerback, nobody I really ever heard of. This is what's happening in football, why it's getting so difficult, or why you really have to get your shit together. So what I'm seeing, look at all these injuries. So you're on 4th, 5th stringers. I'm watching the highlights. I don't know what game it was. I think it was USC Colorado. Nobody could tackle. It's such bad tackling by the secondary. I don't know what they're doing. They can't cover, they can't tackle. So are the cornerbacks that good? Is Prime Jr. that good? Shit, Bobby could hit these guys. They're wide open. There's nobody within 10 yards of these guys, especially on these short routes where they go up and cut across. They're wide freaking open. The DBs are laying off, and then then he still don't make the tackle. It's insane. It's the worst. It's the worst secondary. But you can see how many get hurt, at least in the pros. I think it's more in the pros than in college. And then you wonder, well, they're making money. Are they really hurt, or they're just there for the paycheck? Which I assume most of them are. They're like all the Alabama guys are there for the paychecks. It's amazing how they all get injured. Julio Jones, my favorite. Guy had a pulled hamstring for 5 years until he got with Brady in a playoff game. Then he was fine. All right, so that's the answers. Now let's go through everybody real quick. Buda Baker's out for Arizona, and we know Murray. I saw where Buffalo is practicing Von Miller. Doesn't mean he's playing, but he's starting to practice. So I think he's probably still a month away. And he's got to get his wind and everything. See, when he plays, he's not, it'll take him a couple of weeks. Atlanta, a couple of wide receivers are out. Hart and Ali, I have no idea. They need all the help they can get. Baltimore, Bateman, probable. Stanley, probable. See, now we're getting to Thursday. We're getting the probables now. Williams, the safety, probable. A couple of cornerbacks, still questionable. Beckham is questionable. What else is new? He's an LSU receiver that doesn't like to play. A couple of linebackers out. Wallace out. J.K. Dobbins, Achilles. They got a lot of injuries. Buffalo. Poyer, the safety's questionable with the knee. And Von Miller out with the knee. The rest of the guys, there's like, who are they? Carolina, Sanders, questionable with the groin. That's about it. The Bears, we went over. Cincinnati, it doesn't list Joe Burrow, but we know he's injured. T. Higgins is questionable with ribs. C. Jones, another receiver, out. I don't know who he is. Offensive tackle, questionable with a groin. And another one is on the IR. Cleveland, Deshaun Watson is probable. So we've got Cleveland. Are they even playing? There's 4 teams with a bye now. And the problem I have is like San Diego and Seattle. So these are teams we bet on, and we can't bet on them when they're on a bye. So if I'm looking for a game, San Diego over. They're always over. I can't play them. They're not here. So Cleveland, I don't see Cleveland. They must be playing the next Thursday night game. Yeah, so I don't care. So let's ignore Cleveland. Dallas in the game of the year. Micah Parsons, questionable with the knee. All right. Hooker, safety, questionable with the shoulder. Now, I'm sure Micah Parsons plays, but he's listed as questionable. There's no way a guy like Micah Parsons is missing this game. Questionable, fine. If he's out, he's out. But if he's questionable, he's playing. T. Smith, so there's a lot of questionables. Diggs, we know, is out with the knee. That's about it. Denver. Judy's questionable with the knee. They're playing my Jets. Purcell, Simmons. Just a lot of injuries on Denver. See, Denver, Chicago, they look so bad because there's so many injuries. And really, who are you going to sign? Yeah, okay, yeah, I know the guys at Alabama are better, or LSU or Georgia are better than what you have on your team, but there's only so many of those guys, and they're still playing college ball. Detroit. Let's see. Everybody's questionable. Anybody that we know. St. Brown, the receiver's questionable with an undisclosed. He was questionable last week with an undisclosed. Williams, the receiver from Alabama, is eligible, but he's so lost, he doesn't even know the playbook yet. He hasn't practiced because they drafted a guy with a hurt knee who doesn't practice. He finally gets in. He makes one catch last year. Doesn't do anything. This year, they don't play him in the – no, they did play him a little in the preseason. Then he hurts his hamstring after a game. Then he gets suspended for, I don't know. We can't gamble? Really? Oh, real idiot. So now he's out 5 weeks. So now he's back. This is week 5. I don't even expect him to even hit. I don't even know if he's going to hit the field or not. And if he does, he won't know the plays. Real moron. That's about it. Nothing really with the Lions. Who do they got anyway? Green Bay, Anderson, Jenkins, Bakhtiari. Oh, yeah, it's a surprise he's out. That's it. Houston. T. Thomas, the quarterback's probable. Whoever that is. A lot of probables. Pierce, the running back's questionable with the knee. He looked pretty good last week. A couple of old tackles are questionable. Stingley from LSU, the cornerback's out with the hamstring. I think tonight I'm going to go through how many hamstring injuries there are. It's probably close to 50. Yeah, let's not play anybody in the preseason and keep them healthy so they can pull their hamstring in the first couple of weeks of the regular season. Indy, don't really know too many. Ellender, I don't even know when he played. Jonathan Taylor still out on contract. So the quarterbacks are fine. Looks like Indy's is Richardson. I always get confused who does Houston have and who does Indy have. So Indy's got Richardson. So Houston has Indy's got Stroud. All right, Jacksonville. Now this is ridiculous. They are staying in London to play back-to-back weeks in London. Atlanta now plays Houston without a bye, so they had to fly there and fly home. They're not right. And then you've got Buffalo now having to travel there without a bye before. Maybe they get a bye after. This is totally unfair that Jacksonville stays, but Buffalo flies there. It's ridiculous. So it makes it difficult. Do we bet Buffalo? Or, you know what, we better not, because they've had this flight to London, but Jacksonville stayed there. Totally unfair. You know what it reminds me of? It's those games in the 80s, Nebraska, Miami, and Florida State, where Nebraska and Oklahoma went to Miami and played in the Orange Bowl against Miami. So Miami has a home game, used to the heat because they're from Miami, and they beat them every time almost because they're playing at home in hot weather where they're used to it. And Oklahoma and Nebraska wasn't. I thought it was the stupidest thing to do that because it's so unfair to Oklahoma and Nebraska. It's a road game. This is a national championship game. It's got to be on a neutral field. How do you give Miami Hurricanes or Florida State a home field advantage in a big game? I always thought that was ridiculous. Anyway, Jacksonville, Agnew, a wide receiver I've heard of, is questionable. That's about it. All right, Kansas City plays at Mini. Kansas City. I don't know. Nobody important. Kelsey's fine. The receivers are fine. So they look good. San Diego is off this week, I believe, so we will ignore them. And the Rams have Philly. This will be a very good game, Philly at the Rams. The Rams, Cooper Kupp is questionable. I think he's going to play. He is questionable. That'll be huge because they got the other receivers going with Stafford. Now you add Kupp and the two other receivers. They're actually a playoff team again. See, they were bad because they didn't have Stafford, Kupp, or Aaron Donald last year. Well, you take three studs like that off, of course they're not the same team. But you add them back in, now you got a quarterback. That's why they looked good last week in our lock against Indy. I mean, it was like you got Stafford, okay. I didn't love him on the Lions, but here he's got a good coach. They run a good offense. Yeah, he makes his interceptions, but mostly you can count on him to keep the game close. And here you got them as 4.5-point dogs, or we'll check the spread in a minute. That's about it. I mean, there's a couple of questionables. Howie Long, the tight end, is out with the thigh, and Stenson Benson has been out with some illness, but doesn't matter. He's the backup. And Taylor, defensive back's out. Oakland, do we got Oakland? Yeah, they're playing Green Bay. They think it's Super Bowl II. Garoppolo is questionable Monday with a concussion. Other guys I don't know. A couple of running backs out, but not the main running backs. So Garoppolo, we've got to see. If they don't, it's back to O'Connell. It's funny how he's better than Garoppolo. That's the sad part. Miami, for 3 questionable. Offensive tackle out. Eli Apple questionable. A bunch of questionables. They'll all be playing. As Zerkaman, a wide receiver, never heard of, out with the neck. Craycraft, wide receiver, out with the shoulder. Jalen Ramsey, mid-December with the knee. We know he's out, which makes betting over on Miami so much fun. Minnesota, now they play KC, so we want defense. Safety questionable, linebacker questionable, safety questionable with a hamstring. So that's important against Mahomes. If you got 2 safeties and 2 linebackers questionable. Now they're not out, so they'll probably play, but just so you know, Naylor, the wide receiver from Michigan State, is out with the hamstring. Geez, another hamstring injury. The NY Giants, they are at Miami off the wonderful Monday night, letting us win our lock. Let's see. Questionables. I heard Barkley's trying to play, but not. I don't think he's ready yet. Lemieux Thomas. Yeah, Shaquan Barkley mid-October. So I think he might start practicing to get his win, but I don't think he's. I'm not. Probably in the next few weeks, I would think, if he's mid-October with an ankle. So I don't know if he's sprained. Is it a high ankle sprain? Obviously, he didn't break it. He wouldn't be back. So that's what he's got. But that's it. There's a bunch of guys that we've never heard of, which is why the Giants suck. Questionable. The Jets, Jets. Questionable. So we assume the questionables are all playing, especially for this coach. I would play for this coach. Akabana. Okay. Defensive O-tackle Brown is out. We know Aaron Rodgers is. The tight end Boa, who I'd never heard of, is out. Safety out. 2 linebackers have been out since August, so that's not a big deal because we've been playing without them anyway, and 2 safeties that have been out since August are out. So we've already played without these guys. So the fact that they got hurt in August doesn't mean anything now. We're looking for guys that are hurt in October. And like here, D. Reed, the cornerback, October 4th, he's questionable with a concussion. He'll play. So these are the guys that were more – these are the starter – well, we don't know if they're starters, but they're probably playing. New England, what a pathetic team they are. Yeah, Belichick, greatest coach ever. Not. Stevenson, running back, questionable with the thigh. Couple of defensive linemen, questionable. Cornerback Gonzalez out for the season with the shoulder. Questionable. Boutte, questionable with the hamstring. Linebacker early December. Out. Defensive lineman out. 2 defensive backs out. Wide receiver out. 2 more defensive backs out. Linebacker. So there's a lot of – Trey Flowers is out, we would know. So there's a lot of defensive problems with New England. A lot of players out. So this will be very interesting. New Orleans is playing New England. So let's see what New Orleans has. Derek Carr, questionable with the shoulder, but he was last week and he played. So I'm assuming he will play. See, guys like that who aren't very good, but they want their job, play injured because they know if Hayner could play, he'd never get his job back, but he's on suspension for another few weeks. And Winston's terrible, so Carr's going to play. A bunch of questionables. Williams from the Lions is out with the hamstring. Funny how he didn't have the hamstring last year when it was his contract. He was up for contract renegotiation. He played and get 17 touchdowns. Now you've signed the contract, and now he's out indefinitely with a hamstring. Funny how that works. Hayner, week 7. Philadelphia, good game at the Rams, as I said. We've got – see, Philly's a good team. They're all probable. They don't go questionable. Couple of questionables. Fletcher Cox, okay, we know him. Questionable with the back. He'll play. Nakobe Dean, my Georgia guy, he's out with the foot. All right. Pittsburgh's at home to Baltimore. Pickett, probable with the knee. Probably the last thing you wanted to hear if you're a Pittsburgh fan is that Pickett's going to play. But when your alternative is Trubisky, you got 2 blind quarterbacks playing. You don't have a chance. A couple of linemen questionable. Fryermuth, hamstring, late October. McFarland, the running back, out. Haywood, the defensive tackle, out. So they're missing some, but they're going to go as far as Pickett lets them. And against Baltimore, he ain't going to go anywhere. Yeah, that's all right. Game of the day, the Niners. DB Samuel, questionable with the ribs. Eli Mitchell, running back, questionable with the knee. Womack, cornerback, out. And I don't see our buddy Bosa on the list, so he's actually going to play. I know there's a San Diego Bosa and a San Francisco Bosa. The San Francisco Bosa plays because they're actually they're a Super Bowl team. All right, so really nothing there. Dallas, again, Micah Parsons is questionable. I guarantee he plays. Seattle, are they on our list? I think they're off, so I'm not going to waste time talking about injuries to a team that's not playing. I don't see them. But we owe Coach Pete. He got our lock in, two teasers. See, that's the point. I have Seattle in 2 locks. Or 2 teasers. I got the Rams in 2 teasers. That's how you play it. You just got to be careful. When they lose, you lose 2 teasers. But when you win, you hit 2 teasers. So usually you're only playing very strong plays in 2 teasers, but you should play them in 2 teasers. If you love the game, you play it in 2 teasers. All right, Tampa Bay. Are they playing? Oh, they're off too. All right. Tennessee. I believe they are. They're at Indy. Tennessee, offensive lineman, probable with an appendix. So I assume he had it and he's recovering. Burks. Just Haskins, the running back from Michigan, but he's been out the whole time anyway. And Washington plays tonight. We've already talked about. All right, so let's go to the odds, and then we will go back to college. So the NFL line. We got Washington 644.5. We have Buffalo 5.5, 48.5. We got Atlanta 1.5, down from 2.5, 41.5. We got the Lions at 10 and 44.5. We've got Tennessee at 2.5 now. Now, I didn't see where Richardson was out. Did Tennessee get a player back? I don't know, but this is strange. They're 2.5 favorite at Indy. Miami 10.5. 48.5 to the Giants. We've got New Orleans -1, 39.5 to New England. So now they're a road favorite. Maybe because they're starting Jones instead of Zappi. Unless you've heard, has anybody heard that they're starting Zappi? Then I would like New England, but with Jones, I got to like New Orleans. Baltimore 4.5, 38 to Pittsburgh. Cincinnati with 3, 44.5. Where are you, Joe Burrow? If they can't beat Arizona, I don't know what to say. He's obviously hurt much more than they're leading on. Philly 4.5, 49.5 to the Rams. Denver 2 and 43.5 to the Jets. Jets. Kansas City is 4, 52.5 to Minnie, which that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The Niners, 3.5, 45 to the Cowboys in the Sunday night, the game of the week. And Green Bay is laying 44.5 to our Oakland fellows. So let's talk about that. And real quickly, tonight we've got in college, Liberty 20.5, 45.5. Western Kentucky 5.5, 58.5 to L Tech. Those are the two games tonight, which we'll get into. So anyway, I'm getting smarter. I'm bringing my water here. Give me 1 second, please. I apologize for that. Okay, so we look at the let's look at the game. So we got tonight Washington minus 644. We got the Z team and the Bears. We got the over team in Washington, who is actually an over team, who we think is an under team because of their defense and Howell, but Howell has been playing well. The game's at Washington. The Bears are just pathetic. I would think it would be a high scoring game if Field starts running like against Denver. They played a 50 some game. I think this kind of a low over 44. I would have expected 50. The defense, the Bears give up 34 a game. Washington gives up 30, so it's no gimme there. So there should be plenty of scoring tonight. I would have a hard time playing the Bears as a dog in this game, but I would have a hard time playing Washington as a favorite against anybody when you don't have a defense. So should be a pretty high scoring game, I think. Jacksonville, Buffalo. We got Buffalo at 5.5, 48. They're the A team. Jacksonville's the under team, but Jacksonville stayed in London. I mean, people want to do mathematic equations or algorithms on it. Good luck with this one. Oh, well, let's see. Let's put the algorithm in that if Jacksonville plays back-to-back games in London and has that advantage, and Buffalo has to travel there this week, where's that go in your algorithm? That's the problem with algorithms. How in the world do you calculate Jacksonville staying another week in London? I mean, the game's not even in Jacksonville. It's in London, so it's a huge advantage, Jacksonville. Jacksonville's terrible. I watched the highlights of the Atlanta game, and, Lawrence didn't do much. I don't even know how they beat him so bad. It's just some turnovers by Atlanta. Riddler threw a pick six, and then he comes back the next play and throws interceptions. So really, Atlanta's struggling because Riddler just has no concept of what he's doing. Again, why does the team sit there with Riddler and say, this is our quarterback when he clearly isn't? Why didn't they draft somebody? See, why don't they realize he's not good? I mean, it takes you all of 10 seconds. Let's say it takes me all of 10 seconds to recognize if a quarterback's any good or not. I can clearly see that. And therefore, I wouldn't draft half these bums. I would never have drafted Richardson. I would never have drafted Stroud or Young because they're all in systems. They can't read a defense. They don't know what to do with the ball before the snap, which is critical. What's the key that Brady and Rodgers, they know where they're throwing the ball? Mahomes, he goes to the line and he goes, that's my bitch over there. And he knows exactly where he's going to throw it or what route's going to be open. Kelsey's on the same page. That's why they're always hitting each other. And that's a good quarterback. Herbert, Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady. And you get to this guy, Riddler doesn't have a clue. Lawrence doesn't have a clue. I saw Lawrence on one play, he ran for 20 yards. It's like, dude, this isn't college. That's not your job. Your job is not to roll out of the pocket and run. They don't get, it's really meaningless. All right, you picked up 20 yards, but your job is to throw the ball. So that'd be like me doing Excel work manually. Well, I got the job done. No, you didn't. You're supposed to use Excel for the job. You're supposed to use your wide receivers for the job. You're not supposed to run. Quarterback's not supposed to run for 20 yards. You're supposed to throw for 20 yards. Anyway, so Buffalo 5.5, 48. Jacksonville will not score much on them. Buffalo with Allen, it's all the time zone and everything else. So advantage Jacksonville, but I don't think I would take them plus 11.5 here. Buffalo's not a good road team normally. 9 in the morning. I mean, this is a game you can't really. It's hard to play it. You almost got to play Jacksonville, and God, I can't play Jacksonville against Buffalo. Atlanta now 1.5, 41. Stroud against Riddler. Both are under teams. is I would say Atlanta's got to run the ball down their throats if they have any chance of winning. The less Riddler throws, the better chances they have. They got to turn it into an Army-Navy game. Detroit, Carolina. Detroit 10-45. Detroit's a B team. But again, it's been a soft schedule. KC, you got no Kelsey. Seattle, the one good team they play, they lose. They give up 37, and they play two shit teams, and then they look like champions. Or at least around here, they think they're champions. So it's really not they're really not good. What is this shit I got on? All right, get the fuck off my phone. All right, so that's what you're dealing with. So Detroit laying 10-45 to Carolina. Bryce Young, he's going to get sacked 5 times in this game. Last year, they ran it down Detroit's throat, ran for 300 yards. Will they do the same? Can they do the same? They do have Chuba Hubbard. They didn't have McCaffrey last year when they did this, so very curious. So can Carolina run it down their throats like they did last year? That's a good question. If it gets to Bryce Young, they're in trouble. But does Carolina have the defense? No. What sticks out in this game is Carolina's a W with Bryce Young. Last year, I think they had Andy Dalton or somebody who was decent. And Detroit's actually a B team, but with an asterisk. Over under 45. So I don't think Carolina does much here, and with the weak defense. So I want to take the better team going against the weak defense. So that would lead you to Detroit, but do you lay 4 points with anybody, including Detroit? If you take Detroit, they'll lose. And if you bet against them, take Carolina, Detroit will win by 20. So it's whatever you do, you're fucked in this game. Tennessee, Indy. Tennessee under. Indy is an E team with an over defense. Tennessee's a 2.5-point favorite. I don't understand it. Richardson's not listed as not playing. Tannehill, you've got Henry playing well. You've got that receiver from Arizona. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. I had this interview today. I told her I was swimming, and I swim at this rec center in Livonia. I couldn't think of the name of the city. I knew it started with an L, and I wanted to say like Liberty or Lincoln, and I'm like, how can I not remember Livonia? And she got it because she's from Michigan, because the job's in Michigan. But it was like I couldn't remember. It's like, am I getting old timers, or is it just I got 100 things in my mind and I'm interviewing, so I'm not thinking about that? I think I get into that where I'm over on one subject and then I forget McCaffrey's name or something, or Saban's name. I know him, but at the point of it, I can't think of it. So I don't know. Why is Tennessee favored in this game? I like them as a dog. I don't know that I like them as a favorite. Very few favorites you can play. Kansas City, Cincinnati when they're healthy. Maybe Buffalo at home. That's about it. Dallas and Frisco, yeah. Otherwise, it's very hard to trust a favorite because it's just not good teams to play. So let's see. So we've got Tennessee and Indy. Tennessee, I don't know that I'd play it under. It's a 42, but when you look at it, Tennessee's an 18, okay, but Indy's a 25 defensively. They give up a lot of points. Hey, Alex, how are you? They give up a lot of points. And what's going on in that A&M Alabama game, Alex, that all of a sudden the spread's down to 1.5? I liked Alabama and it went down to 2.5. I go, okay. Now it's like down to 1.5. I don't see an injury. I know the A&M quarterback's out. I know the backup's going to be playing. What the fuck? Yeah, why? Alabama's going to win the game with their defense, and then Milrose will run around. So I don't know Alabama ain't the same. Well, yeah, I realize that, but go ask Ole Miss and Old Mississippi State. Yeah, Texas beat them as I knew they would, but I would be on A&M if they had their starting quarterback. If they don't, I don't trust the backup. And you got to be careful with Alabama's defense. Look at Ole Miss, 24-10. And then they put up, Ole Miss puts up 50 points on LSU. How come they didn't put up 50 on Alabama? Alabama has way better D than Ole Miss. Do they have better D than Texas? Yeah, I understand that. I remember the quarterback. Here's my issue. Texas beats them 34-24. I get it, but now A&M has to win. Now let's go to Miami, where A&M played Miami, and my Taylor Van Dyke put up 50 points on them. So that's where I think of A&M's defense. When they played a really good team, they got killed. And I know if it's just history, I'll take Alabama all day. I know what you're talking about with that one guy, Johnny Manziel, beat him a couple times, but that's when it first was they couldn't handle the running quarterbacks. But I saw them against Arkansas. I wasn't impressed. Jefferson, they put up 22. I mean, it's 34-22. So, Jefferson, yeah, he's a much better quarterback than Melrose, but we'll see. I'm not in the habit of trying to make money betting against Alabama. A&M beat them with a third string a couple years ago. I don't remember that, but did Alabama have their thing? What did they have? Tagliavua at quarterback? That's how they beat them? Big game choke Tagliavua like you did last week? So they're just betting on history that A&M plays them tough. The problem here is the spread's only 1.5, if it's even that. I get 4.5 with Alabama. And unless it's Georgia, I'm playing it. This will be interesting if they go favorite. Let's see what the line is. Let's see what the spread is now. Are you taking Oklahoma? I'm giving Oklahoma as my free pick in a revenge game. Let's see. Alabama. Alabama's still 1.5, 46.5. So my free play is Oklahoma plus 12.5 against Texas. That game's about dead even. I mean, Oklahoma, if you realize, is only giving up like 9 points a game. And they put up 60 on Iowa State. Nobody puts up 60 on Iowa State. So I'll be very curious. But I got better games than that one. But yeah, I'm just wondering why is Melrose injured, and I got that backup in. If they injure Melrose and that backup has to come in, it'll get pretty ugly. That guy sucks. How did Alabama recruit this guy? Right, he's so bad. Anyway, back to the pros. So then we got Miami 10.5, 40 or 10, 49, 48 to the Giants. The Giants are a Z team. Miami's an over. They don't have a defense, but they'll score a lot. The Giants' defense is terrible, giving up 33 a game. And the free pick is take Miami minus the 4. They played very well at home. What the hell is the Giants going to do? They don't have Barkley. He's out. They got Daniel Jones, who I don't know what he's doing in there. He can't hit the broadside of a barn. All he wants to do is run. He'll probably run and get some points against Miami, but They're not going to stop. See, this is a game for Tagovailoa. A weak defense. It's not a pressure game. He'll light it up. So I like the Giants here. I got them 42-17, the Giants. So that's the free pick. Probably goes over, but I can't trust the Giants to score enough. But Miami's defense sucks. New Orleans 1-40 against New England. Both teams are under teams. They don't score, but they got good defenses. Probably a low-scoring game, I would think. Carr looks like he's going to play. He's questionable, and I don't know if Jones or Zappi will start. From what what I'm thinking, this game started at New England -2, and now it's New Orleans -1. Maybe it is because Jones is playing, and everybody's like, "This guy sucks. What is he playing for?" But I don't really like New Orleans laying 1 here. But I can't bet on Jones either, so probably a low-scoring game. Baltimore and Pitt, normally a very close game. Baltimore is laying 4, 38.5, awfully low number. Lamar against Pickett. Baltimore is a B team, so they score pretty good and have a pretty good defense, and Pitt's terrible. No offense, really no defense statistically. Even somehow they beat Cleveland, which makes no sense. It was 2 defensive scores. Lamar is going to give you a couple of interceptions here, and he probably won't give you too many touchdown passes. I think this will be a close, low-scoring game. I don't know about 38.5, though. That's awfully low. But them laying 4 on the road, I kind of lean towards Pitt getting 10, 10.5 at home in this rivalry. Maybe. Philly and the Rams, very, very good game. Philly, the B team. The Rams are an even team. Both have strong defenses, but Philly's defense isn't, with all the Georgia guys, I was expecting them to throw shutout after shutout, but they got a new defensive coordinator who doesn't know what the hell he's doing. I mean, they're not pressuring. They're not covering. I mean, they're not tackling. What the fuck? Hurts against Stafford. Second best game of the day to Dallas and the Niners. Defensively, Philly's at 23, the Rams are 21. They kept it close with Frisco, 30-23. So let's use that as our example. Philly is 13-1 as a road favorite in a teaser. Over under a 50. I don't know what to think of that. I think this game is going to be close. Philly hasn't shown much. They barely beat New England with Jones. What did they do last week? Last week was, they beat Washington 34-31. I think here the Rams are live, although Philly is 13-1 as the road favorites. I think it's play a teaser in this game. The Rams in 10.5 with Stafford. Cooper Kupp might be back. Aaron Donald's playing. This should be go down to the wire. The Rams could easily win this. Cincinnati and Arizona. Cincinnati is a W. They're not scoring. They're not getting yards. I looked at their yards. That they don't even do 300 yards a game right now. Obviously, Burrow is hurt. I don't know what's with the calf, that a calf would be out for 2 months. You got this beginning of August, but I don't know what is wrong, but he's obviously not 100%. Arizona is surprising everybody. They beat Dallas. They're not a good home dog. They are an over team, so they score a lot and they give up 26. Cincinnati is giving up 24. The trend here is Cincinnati, because Arizona is a lousy home favorite. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, Cincinnati, I don't even know why they're favored here. Until Burrow shows me he's 100% and he's Burrow, I don't know. I can't sit there and he's going to chase for 4 touchdowns. I don't see that. I don't know if they're going to stop Arizona. Dallas couldn't. The Niners did. They got a little bit on the Niners, but then the Niners pulled away. So I don't know. I'm just sitting here scratching my head. I think it's like Cam Rising. Until he's playing, he ain't playing. And we're waiting on the doctor with Cam Rising. In this case, until Burrow starts being Burrow, I don't know. But Arizona's got a weak defense. So if Burrow's going to be Burrow, it's going to be this week. He should light up Arizona, but we will see. Again, he's hurt. There's no question about it. The Jets against Denver. We've got Zach Wilson against Russell Wilson. We've got an under team in the Jets, giving up 21 a game. We've got an over team in Denver, giving up 38 a game. I think if Denver played USC would put up 40 on them. Because I watched some of the highlights of the Denver game. They didn't tackle. They don't know how to tackle. Their defensive backs are so bad. They can't cover, and then the guy gets it, and they can't tackle him. You will see Zach Wilson finally have a good day because he's playing one of the worst defenses in the league. I was going to say in the country. So Zach will look good, and everybody say, "Oh yeah, okay, Zach's getting it." Yeah, he's getting it against Denver. He didn't. He started to get it against Kansas City, but you can't look at the Dallas game and wonder why he looks bad because it's fucking. He plays Buffalo and Dallas. What did you expect him to look like? Aaron Rodgers a little different, but he would have struggled. Aaron Rodgers would have struggled against Dallas. There's no question about it. So does everybody. Denver's laying 2 with this defense. Oh, my God. The Jets are a good trend, a good dog. Again, Wilson against Wilson. I think this is a very close game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Jets got the W because of the defense. The Jet defense can shut down Russell Wilson, but the Denver defense cannot shut down Zach Wilson. So look for the Jets to cover for us again. KC, Minnesota. KC's a B team. They're not scoring like they usually did. Hey, Nicholas Stillert. King, have you already went over the Kansas UCF matchup in the Colorado? No, I'm starting with pros, so haven't done those yet. Didn't you ask me about Kansas UCF the other day? And I basically, I kind of broke it down, so I'll do it again, but there wouldn't be much change. So Kansas City is a B team because they're not scoring the way they like I said, so they put up 40 on the Bears, which everybody puts up 40 on the Bears. But then last week they put up 23 on the Jets, and they put up 17 on fucking Jacksonville. So they're not scoring. They've got wide receiver problems. They got Kelsey. They've got Valdez-Scantling. They got Pacheco, but they're missing. They're missing the other receiver. I'm surprised Smith-Schuster left. I mean, he could have filled a good role there. And where did he go? I mean, I don't even know what team he's on. So they're playing Minnesota. So KC, surprisingly, only gives up 15 points a game defensively. Minnesota, on the other hand, is an E team. They score mid-20s. They give up mid-20s. So they're pretty good, but not a B team, like scores 5, 6, 7 points more than they give up, right? So Kansas City is probably scoring 23 and giving up 15. But it's not. An A would be San Francisco scoring 30 and giving up 15. So that's the difference. So we're waiting for Kansas City to start to figure it out. Minnesota again. Oh yeah. So KC's not scoring where they normally are, Mahomes, but you got Minnesota with no defense. The line's 4-52. Minnesota, terrible defense. It's Cousins. It's all Jefferson, right? Cousins and Jefferson. They got a running back from Boise. They let Dalvin Cook go, which is crazy. Now, if you're not going to pay Dalvin Cook, then bring in some defense. They don't have defense either. Look at that San Diego game. Fucking Herbert was like, what, 40 out of 42 for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Mahomes is going to be, he might go 100%. It should be high scoring because they'll score on Mini, but Mini should be able to score on Kansas City. That's what I look. So this should be a little higher scoring. Over under 52. Minnesota plays close games. Kansas City's the trend here. Mahomes against Cousins. So tough one to call. How comfortable are you with KC on the road? But they're only laying 4. So in teaser world, we're getting 2. So they just have to win. In fact, they can lose by 1. But, what are you going to do with that? On the other hand, Minnesota, I can't bet a team with no defense against Mahomes. That doesn't work. I can play the Niners. I can play the San Francisco or Dallas, maybe Buffalo against KC, Cincinnati when healthy. I can't play Minnesota is like going to do anything here. So I think KC wins, probably a little higher scoring. I have 52 is a high number, but I think we can get close. Dallas Frisco, game of the day. Both are A teams. Dallas gives up 10 points a game. Frisco 15. These are real teams with real defenses. Prescott against Purdy, that's where you lose me. Prescott will have at least 3 interceptions in the game, choking as he does in the game. They played in the playoffs, I believe it was 19-13. Purdy's first playoff game at the Niners last year. And I think it'll be very similar to that. I think there won't be a lot of points. 3.5 Frisco and 45. You can take Dallas and 9 if you can trust Prescott. The Niners just have so many weapons. Micah Parsons, questionable with the knee. I'm sure he'll play if he needs the shot, but he will play. Little trend on the Niners. They are 12-0 as a home favorite. So it really is a mind fuck because just looking at it, I think the Niners are the better team, and I think they win. But I don't think there's a lot of points here. So I think it'll be more of a low-scoring game, which makes me either want the dog or the under. But I don't want to trust Prescott against the Niners. And our last but not least is Green Bay, Oakland, Super Bowl II. Green Bay's an even team, and now we realize that Love sucks. Oakland is a W team. They give up 20. So Green Bay gives up 24 a game. Oakland gives up 25. We believe it'll be O'Connell, but maybe it's it's Garoppolo. Either same difference. So you got rid of Carr for Garoppolo. What'd you do? You get Carr, at least doesn't get hurt usually for Garoppolo, who if you get 4 games out of him, you're lucky. Green Bay's laying 145. I have no idea. I cannot trust Green Bay on the road. Even with O'Connell, I can't trust either quarterback. They both stink. What do? Take the home dog on Monday night? Take Oakland? Would you go over or you go under in the game? So if you look at it, we got a 25 defense and a 24 defense. Maybe it goes over. You only need 39. Maybe that makes sense. You're really going to trust Love and O'Connell. Now, maybe if Aaron Jones plays like the whole game at 100%, maybe you can take Green Bay. Oakland's got that good running back, Jacobs. So not much in defense. So I don't know what you do in a game like this. O'Connell and Love, you get really bad. Probably over. Maybe you take Oakland as a home dog with O'Connell. Good luck with that. So it's a real tricky week. So again, the free play, take Miami to crush the Giants at home. The Giants are the Z team. Miami is an over team. They just got hammered by Seattle. Now, there was a pick 6 involved. They didn't really play as bad as they looked, even though they lost 24-3. They got down to the goal line, and he throws a 99-yard pick 6. So kind of skews the game. It's like the Giants were driving. and they didn't really let up too many points to Seattle's offense. But it's Monday night in Miami. So coming off of Monday night, going to Miami, going to the Heat, and we know Miami can score. They're coming off a loss. Take Miami. College, free pick. Texas 6.5, 60 over Oklahoma. I like Oklahoma in 12.5, revenge game. And to tell you the truth, I think Oklahoma is the better team. They got the better numbers. They score more and they have a better defense than Texas. Now, Texas beat Alabama. But as we know, Alabama's not Alabama this year. Maybe. I don't know. I don't agree with that they're that much weaker. Milrose, quick guy. I think they learn we can't trust them, so we're going to run with them and call different pass routes. They still have a motherfucker defense, Alabama, against Ole Miss, Old Mississippi State. They held them in check. Holding Mississippi to 10 points, they got a real defense. A&M's got their backup quarterback. See, I'm not buying that stuff. So let's go through the line. We hit Jacksonville State, as I said. Hey, Eric. I went over that. Chicago's the Z team. Washington's the over team. I think there'll be a lot of points in the game. And I think we got a week over under 44. Oh, Washington's an over team. They're laying 6 and 44, but they score a lot. Look what they did to Philly last week, 34-31 against Philly. So I think, and it was a 35-33 game with Denver. Now, we know Denver doesn't have a defense. Philly's got a pretty good defense. We know Chicago's got no defense. They give up 34 a game. So I think Washington takes advantage of the weak defense, and I don't know that Fields can take advantage of Washington's defense that should be better, but they're laying the 30. So I think there should be points. I think they should go over 44. You could take a stab at Washington, but I remember last year's Chicago at New England, and we jumped on New England. Fields lights them up, and they've never seen a running quarterback before, the great Belichick. So I don't know. I think that was the beginning of Fields running. So now that's why, it's curious. Will Fields start running again? And then they should score a lot on Washington. I think that'll happen. But I think the Bears are the worst team. I don't think they could win a game in the Big Ten. Put it that way. I know they wouldn't win a game in the SEC. And probably not in the – could you imagine Chicago in the Pac-10, Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA, Utah, Colorado now lighting them up, Oregon State, Washington State. They'd put up 50 points a game on this team. I mean, I would love to see them go to Oregon and play Oregon. My money would be on Oregon over the Bears. How could this team do it? They would give up 50 points to Oregon, or – if Rising was playing Utah or USC, Williams would definitely score 50 on them. So that's my point. I really would just bet against the Bears because they're the Z team. As the free pick of Miami over the Giants, they're the Z team. They don't score and their defense sucks and Barkley's out. Now Barkley's playing, maybe I lean away from Miami, but with him out, and he's supposed to be out till mid-October, what do they got? Daniel Jones running around like an idiot? I'm getting tired of these quarterbacks who think that they're supposed to run is the position of quarterback, not throw to your $1 million receivers and let the running backs who get the $1 million like a Derrick Henry. You're gonna run when you got Derrick Henry on your team, or you're gonna hand them the ball and say, "Go, Derrick." Nobody can tackle you anyway. See, that's what they're missing. They're like I say, they're playing chess without the rooks and bishops. When you got these running quarterbacks, and you're not going to win if you can't use all your pieces. So I hope I answered your question, Eric. But that's how I see it. I think there'll be points if Fields does what he was doing last year. If Fields goes back and passes and throws three picks, and then Washington puts pressure on him, and it'd be a long night for the Bears. But again, just betting against the Bears because they're the Z team. They have no defense. How about teaser Western Kentucky paired with Washington? Both need to win minus 120. Western Kentucky. Let's get to college. So we hit yesterday's game. Jacksonville State beats Middle Tennessee. Again, going against the Z team works. New Mexico State beats Florida International, our New Mexico State. This is the problem when you lock a team and you lose. You're like, it's superstitious. And then they go and they kill Florida International, which they should have done to UMass. And that pisses you off because that lock wins 9 out of 10 times. New Mexico State even against UMass. Unbelievable. But now they go and kill Florida International. So that's what I had. So let's go. Today, Liberty 20.5, 45.5 to Sam Houston. And let's do the lines first. Western Kentucky 5.5, 58.5. So the lines moved. The line was 6.5, is now 5.5. I don't like L-Tech's quarterback, Backenmeyer from Boise. He's terrible. Western Kentucky, well, they got killed by Ohio State 62-10 or whatever. They're the over team, and I really don't think their defense is that bad if you throw out the Ohio State game. I don't know. The game's at L-Tech. I think I could find better games than that one. I don't know. I mean, L-Tech's an E team, so they don't score much. Their defense is okay. Western Kentucky is a good team in conference. Maybe you can get away with it. There's a lot of better games. But if you wanted just to bet tonight, I mean, that's probably a decent. The Washington, that should be good. The Western Kentucky, I don't know. The line's moving down. People are betting L-Tech. And I don't really pay much attention to that, but it's an over. Maybe you can get away with it. I wouldn't bet a lot on it. Let's put it that way. Kansas State, 11.5, 53.5 tomorrow. So the two games today are Liberty against Sam Houston, laying 20-46, and then the Western Kentucky 5.5, 58. Then we go to Friday is Kansas State 11.5, 53.5, and Illinois 3.5, 43 over Nebraska and the Heinrich Himmlers. All right, now we go to Saturday. We got Toledo 19.5, 56.5. We've got the Army, go Army, 349.5. And I'll tell you, BC's an over team this year where they've been terrible. Now they're an over team. Army's an A team, 349, if you like Army. LSU, where's Bobby? Bobby's been missing all week. The fans are getting nervous. Where's Bobby? Bobby's not in the starting lineup. It's terrible. We got to go with the pinch hitter here. Poor Bobby. LSU 4.5. If I can find them. Here they are. Wow, this was 7 down to 4.5, 64.5. That number hasn't changed. Is there an injury on LSU? LSU injury, safety out, cornerback questionable, running back out, cornerback out. Wide receiver, questionable. Nothing serious that would make you take Missouri. So anyway, 4.5. LSU's been an over team. Their defense sucks this year, but they can score. But I hate Daniels, their quarterback. Missouri's been very good. They're a B team. They've been scoring a lot and apparently a decent defense. 64. So I don't know if you get to 64, maybe with LSU. All right, the free pick. Texas 6.5, 60.5. Hasn't moved. We're taking Oklahoma at the free pick. Oklahoma's the better team in this game. Oklahoma scores more, better defense. Their defense is like, I think they're giving up 10 a game. And they just beating Iowa State, putting 60 points up on Iowa State. It probably hasn't happened in 100 years. They always have a good defense, but they've switched. The quarterback this year is throwing too many pick sixes and too many long touchdowns. Look at the box score. Pick six, 75-yard touchdown. I'm wondering how Iowa State's giving up 60 points when they play in the 20s all the time. Anyway, so we got Texas, who just crushed Kansas. The game was close in the fourth quarter. It was like a 10-point game. All of a sudden, it was a 25-point game with 10 minutes left, and then boom. So they got 2 long runs, which they're not going to do in Oklahoma. This is a revenge game. Oklahoma lost 49-0 last year. And I always respect revenge games. Not that Texas won't be up, but Oklahoma will be a little higher up. And this might be a defensive ball game. I'm actually shocked by this 60-point number. It was 60. Well, it shows a 68, but I don't know where that was. Then I saw 64, and now it's 60. You got 2 great defenses. Now, I don't know what that means anymore, but you got 2 great offenses, so I don't know which way you go. I think they'll score. I think this will be 28-24, maybe 31-28. I can see Oklahoma winning. In games like this, I like the dog. Give me as many points as I can get because both teams could easily win. There's no reason Oklahoma, they are strong team this year and strong defense. And you know how I love strong defenses. And the same with Texas. They're both A teams. They both have strong defenses. Now, we give Texas credit. They beat Alabama at Alabama 34-24. So they should be able – this game should be in the 30s if we go by that. And as Alex told us, but Alabama's not the same Alabama. So who did Texas beat? Milrose threw three interceptions, including the first play of the game. He threw an interception. You're not going to get that from Gabriel. You're not going to get the ball at the 20-yard line so you can walk in. It's going to be different. Oklahoma has a defense, and they've got Gabriel and a good offense. So I really think Oklahoma wins the game straight out, but okay, they lose by a field goal at the end. I got 12.5. I like the 12.5. I put it this way. There is no way I am betting Texas even in this game. So therefore, I must like Oklahoma in 12.5 if I'm not taking Texas -1.5. And I've never had a thought, unless Oklahoma was favored, I would take Texas as the dog. This is take the dog. This is what you put the Redskins with, Eric, not Western Kentucky. Free pick with Miami over the Giants. Love this pick, absolutely. This is a very strong play. Now, Texas could beat them by 20 points. I'd be the most. If Gabriel's healthy and no serious injuries, I would be shocked if this game is more than a 3-point game. So take your 12.5 with it. The line stayed 6.5. It started, I think, at 4.5, went to 6.5, but then hasn't moved. And like I said, the over-under. Now, here's the money lines, a little bit more normal. Texas is -235, and Oklahoma's +190. Well, at least that's what a money line should be. It should be close. So you money liners, this is one I would get the 190 on and play a little. I know how you guys like the 2-3 team money liners. Well, this would be included in the money line is Oklahoma. Now, it's risky because they're playing Texas, but you're getting 190 on it. So But to me, if I'm money lining Texas, I'm just going to tease them minus even. You guys think you're getting good odds on the money line, and you're not. Your odds are not good. They look good because you're plus. Like here, 190 Oklahoma, but is it really a good line? Let's look at another 6.5. Let's see if we can find one. Here's a 5.5 tonight. You got Western Kentucky LTech. So you got LTech as a money line, 195. So here's a 195 at 5.5, and here you got Texas, Oklahoma. It's 6.5. You're only getting 190. Well, wait a minute. 5.5 is 195. Why is 6.5 only 190? It should be 210 because it's 6.5 points. So my odds on picking the money line have got to be higher than what they are now. So anyway, with that said, take Oklahoma in the 12.5 all the way to the bank. This is I told you I've been waiting for this game all year. Revenge game. I got a better offense and I got a better defense. I got a better quarterback. I don't know about the coach. Don't love the coach, but I don't know. The Clemson defensive coordinators, Oklahoma's coach, and they look more like a Clemson defense this year. So take Oklahoma at 12.5. All right. That's your free play. Ohio State, 19.5, 57.5, down from 20 against Maryland. I don't know. We got to trust Ohio State's quarterback here. I don't know. Wisconsin, 12.5, 44.5. Where is that? Okay. Down from 46. Old Mississippi State, 20.5, 56.5 to Western Michigan. That line hasn't moved. NC State, 6.5, 44.5, really hasn't moved. Marshall, I would think this should be a low-scoring game. Marshall's got a very good defense. UTSA, 13.5, 54.5, hasn't moved. Frank Harris is probable in this game, so that'll help UTSA. Temple, we know, sucks. UTSA sucks because their quarterback. Temple sucks because they suck. Big difference. Central Michigan and Buffalo. Central 3.5 and over under 52.5. So this game went from 53.5 to 51 yesterday, and I thought something was wrong. Why did it drop like this? And now it's back to 52.5. So more, okay, makes more sense. UCLA 3.5, 60.5 to Washington State. Where's our Washington State guy? This should be a very close game, I think. UCLA's got a good quarterback, but he's a freshman. Washington State can play defense. Cameron Ward looks good. He's won 2 good home games. Let's see how he handles the road. So should be a great game. North Carolina, 9.5, 59.5. This game's up from 7, and would be taking Syracuse if money's going on North Carolina. They're both A teams, but you're curious. Syracuse fumbled 5 times against Clemson last week, and they still almost cover. I had like 13 points. They lost by 17. North Carolina, they're okay. The quarterback sucks. I mean, people that like Drake May, look at his stats. I don't think he's got like 4 touchdowns and 4 picks, or 5 or 6. Not a lot of touchdowns and a lot of picks. This will be another Mitchell Trubisky, like, oh, let's draft guys from North Carolina because they went to the Peyton Manning camp. Oh, my God. So I'm not buying North Carolina here. Over under a 60. I don't know if I'm buying that either. Syracuse has been lighting it up, but then where were they against Clemson? North Carolina does not have that defense. Could be a high-scoring game. But both teams supposedly have a good defense. But again, in college, who the hell knows? Clemson, 20.5 and 52.5. All right, that line hasn't moved. Wake Forest, pretty weak. Clemson, starting to show, starting to score. Do we really trust them yet? I don't know. It's a big number, but they are at home. They lost to Florida State. They lost to Duke. And I watched the end of the Notre Dame Duke game. Fucking, I didn't realize Duke was winning. With under a minute left, Duke was winning. And Notre Dame had a big run, but something wrong with Notre Dame's coaches. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. You got a guy like Hartman, and you're dicking around with Duke, and you're dicking around with Ohio State. You should have been killing these teams. Bad coaching at Notre Dame. Anyway, so Clemson's getting better, has the 2 losses, has to win, but I don't know. Hard to trust this new quarterback. Wake Forest is pretty bad. I think Clemson can win. We'll see if they can blow out somebody. Florida State, 23.5, 52.5 to Virginia Tech. Navy, 5.5, 61.5 to, where are you, Navy? 5.5, 61 to North Texas, who's an over team. Northern Illinois, 4.5, 42.5 to Akron, who is the U team. The Z teams in the MAC are Ball State and Kent. That at least are playing. I don't know if they have another one, but these teams do not score in the MAC. A lot of unders there. As you can see, Ball State, Eastern Michigan, 2.5, 42.5. What the fuck? 2.5, 4, Ball State's a Z team, so no defense. So here we probably will want to bet against the Z team, right? Miami of Ohio, 10-44 to Bowling Green. Again, look at this number, 44 in the MAC. 44, 42, 44 against Bowling Green. Miami's not bad. Their quarterback, Gabbert, probably Gabbert's brother from Kansas State in the pros. They're laying 10. They're a B team. Bowling Green, weak defense. But Bowling Green beat Georgia Tech last week, which is shocking. Probably turnovers. I didn't watch that one. But they beat them like 38-27. So very interesting that Bowling Green did that. Ohio, 25-44 to Kent. Kent's the Z team. Again, look at this over-under. So you got 4 MAC games. You got a 44, a 42, a 44, and a 45. What the fuck? Ohio's a low-scoring team, and Kent's a Z team. So, again, do you take Ohio? Ohio's pretty good. They can score. Do you take them? Do we bet against the Z team? Maybe with Eastern Michigan we can. I don't know if Kent, Miami, if Ohio, you want to lay all those points to Kent. But Kent's pretty bad. All right, Purdue and Iowa. We got Iowa 1.5, 39.5. Purdue's an over team, not much defense. Iowa lost their quarterback, McNamara from Michigan, broke his leg. He's out. The backup, I don't know. They did beat Michigan State by 10 last week. We know they have a good defense. Can Purdue score on it? And then can Iowa score? Over under a 39 seems a little ridiculous in a Purdue game. A lot of low over unders. See, Vegas starts getting fancy, starting to realize, and then they go 2 under, and then you start betting over on these. Like this game, I think, I don't know. Do you bet over 33? Purdue should score on them. It's not like Iowa's got the Georgia defense. They just play a defensive type of game. That's all. Alabama 1.5. This is the game I'm debating with Alex. 1.5, 46.5. That's why I thought there was an injury, because this total went from started at 53s down a touchdown to 46.5. I don't know why. I think A&M's going to have a tough time scoring on this defense. And I think Alabama will clean up their offense, eliminate those pass interceptions, run Milrose a little bit more, and be smarter in their play calling. Alabama's going to win this game. I mean, this is Okay, Alabama laying 20 maybe, and yeah, he beat, A&M beat him a couple times with Johnny Manziel, but seriously, did we just watch Alabama kill Ole Miss, who's got a much better offense than A&M, especially with the backup quarterback? So if you want to give me Alabama in 4.5, I'm taking it. Sorry, Nick Saban, the defense, Alabama with the better defense. You got A&M now. If A&M starting quarterback, yeah, but not the backup, he's going to beat Alabama. Yeah, okay. And I got oceanfront property in Detroit for you, even though we don't have an ocean here. Texas State, Lou Lafayette. Always a Lou Lafayette fan if I can find him. Okay. Lou Lafayette, 2.5, 68, hasn't changed. Texas State is a over who beat Baylor. Keep that in mind. Lou Lafayette is an over. The over-under is 68, though, so it becomes two over teams, but are you going to get into the 60s? That's always that 68, 70, 72 pointer is always difficult because, like the Oregon Colorado game, you'd have thought would have got there, didn't because Oregon did all the scoring. So that's what you really got to be conscious of is the team that they are able to be a close game, right? Like last week, USC Colorado really wasn't close. It was 48-28 or whatever. And then Colorado scored 2 late touchdowns. They were able to score them, but they couldn't score them against Oregon. It's like Ole Miss, LSU. Ole Miss against Alabama couldn't figure out how to score, and then against LSU, they scored 2 late touchdowns and win the game. And you're like, why the fuck didn't they do that against Alabama? Because I had Ole Miss and like 13, they lost by 14, so I wasn't too upset. That's why I will not take A&M in this game. If Ole Miss couldn't beat them, I'm not fucking around with A&M against them. Texas, I had against them. That's a whole different animal. Much better defense. I don't see A&M with this great defense. They're an under team, but I remember the Miami game. It was like 48-34 Miami over A&M a few 3 or 4 weeks ago. Yeah, so that's what I remember. But of course, that's Van Dyke for you. All right. Kansas UCF. Our buddy Nicholas Tiller. We can go through it again. Kansas is UCF's a 1.5 point favorite. 64. So let's look at what the fuck's going on. I think it's because Daniels, the quarterback of Kansas, he must be out. I don't care. I like Bean anyway, but let's take no injuries. Plumlee, the UCF quarterback's out. So let's go to the other site because we know there's injuries. So let's go to Kansas first. Kansas, Daniels, questionable Saturday with the back. It's the only injury that they show. Now, he's one of these mobile quarterbacks. Hey, G. He's one of these mobile quarterbacks that kind of like Jefferson, right? So he can run the option, and he can throw pretty good. So just think of Jefferson. He's questionable, but being the backup is fine. We won a lot of money on Bean last year betting overs, so I'm not too worried about their quarterback. This is, I think I would take the home dog here. Free pick on tonight's game. I think probably should be a high scoring one. I think the Bears defense is so bad, and Washington's defense isn't much better. The point will be Fields. If Fields starts dancing and running around, Washington will score a lot on the Bears. I would say use the Denver score to get your beer score tonight. Should be close to that. But I think if they're gonna run fields, it should be high scoring. Kansas. So the quarterback's out. UCF. Let's go to UCF. A lot of T's. And they don't even have UCF in the U's, which you would think they would. They're in the C's. Unbelievable. It's UCF. Put them with Utah and UCLA. Now they call them Central Florida. All right. So, of course, the U's are in the C's. UCF's in the Central Florida. And Plumlee's out, which we know. And their backup's playing, as we know. So, why they don't list the quarterback being injured on the other site is the question. McDaniels, I believe. So now you're giving me 64 with the backup quarterback. Both teams have backup quarterbacks in. Kansas is back to an over, but they showed good defense against BYU. Now, this is actually a conference game. UCF's in the Big 12 now, and they're a B team with an even defense. So this should bet points, but it's a toss-up between going over on the game with being careful at 64, but now Kansas is a home dog. That's a whole different animal. I think Kansas is a good home dog here, so keep that in mind. You got to watch these point moves. Like Alabama was 7, and I was going to bet them, and then it went down to 2.5, and now it's 1.5. If A&M goes favor, and I can get one, and they lay 1.5, I can get 7.5 to Alabama. Yeah, we're betting gold on that one. That's ridiculous. Because Alabama's lost. They can't lose another game. They want to make the playoffs. So they're figuring it out. Give Saban some credit. He's not like Belichick, who's clueless and keeps playing Mac Jones like, oh, wait, he went to Alabama. We must play him. He's Joe Namath. All right. Florida, 18.5, 52 to Vanderbilt. Florida does not have the offense to cover this. Vanderbilt, their quarterback's playing. He's been injured, but he's playing. They're an over team, right? They play Hawaii to a 42-30 game. Florida has been playing good defensively, although they didn't show up against Kentucky. They beat Tennessee. See, this is where the home field. So they beat Tennessee at home, and they don't even come close against Kentucky. The one touchdown I saw was a hell of a catch by the receiver, but he was well covered. He was not open. So Florida at home, I don't know, laying 18 with Graham Mertz against Vanderbilt. I don't know. It's one of those games they beat you and they get pressure on the quarterback, and it's just hard. Troy, 16.5, 52.5, hasn't moved against Arkansas State, who's starting to put up points. I assume they changed quarterbacks. Troy is a good team. They beat our Georgia State team last week, which I was really surprised at. Laying 16.5, I don't know. Over under is 52. I almost think that could be the way. Because Arkansas State's got no defense, but a good offense. South Florida, 3.5, 68. Or South Florida, UAB. Hello. I am looking for South Florida. Where did it go? Seriously? Right above the Troy game, of course. South Florida, 3.5, 68. They're both over teams. Should be high scoring, but we'll see. You can take UAB as a home dog, probably not a bad way, but over plays over, you should get a lot of points, especially in this conference. These smaller conferences, the Sun Belt and Conference USA, they'll get high points because there's no defense. And it's like anybody can play offense now. It just seems so vanilla. We're all going to run the same plays. Oh, really? Rice, 9.5, 47.5 to UConn. And I will give you Rice as an over team and UConn's a Z team. Enough said there. Florida Atlantic is 3-54 to Tulsa. Tulsa's over team. Florida Atlantic has lost their quarterback. Maybe they'll find him. He's out for the year. So you got a little handicap there. So Tulsa's a very live dog in this game with Florida Atlantic's quarterback out. Their backup sucks. They're not scoring. Neither team's got a defense, so it should be a very close game. Tulsa could easily win it. All right, Coach Prime, 4.5, 60 to Arizona State. Colorado, we know, can't stop the win, and they score. They can score. Arizona State's been a W with no defense, but their quarterbacks have been out, and they're both back. So now you have a more potent offense. They did put up 34 on USC, which apparently anybody can. Colorado... No, this game's at Arizona State. I'm actually shocked they're favored by 4.5. It's almost like you can take Arizona State here. I think they will. When these games are in the desert, it's a whole different animal. You can't get used to the desert, especially Colorado. They got the high altitude. So they're good at home. If this game was in Colorado, I'd leave 4.5, but at Arizona, Colorado's all of a sudden a road favorite team? I don't think so. I kind of like that. I kind of like it over just because Arizona State, as long as their quarterbacks are back, should be able to score like they did against USC. My Georgia, 14.5, 48 to Kentucky. Two strong defensive teams, two A teams. Kentucky played at home to Florida, a 47. We had it under last week. That was our free underplay. Here we got them. What can I say? Georgia, best defense in either league, pro or college. They get after. Kentucky won't be able to do much. This should be, of course, a low-scoring game. And, with the new quarterback back, it's not like Georgia's lighting them up, although they had a big day against UAB, 49 points. Most of their game, like here, should be like the Auburn game, 27-20, 47. I would expect somewhere in that neighborhood with Kentucky. Maybe a little bit. Kentucky, I don't think will score 20, though. Georgia, I don't think will score 27 either. So probably a normal Georgia low-scoring game. South Alabama, UL Monroe. We got South Alabama, 10.5, 50.5. E versus a W. Lou Monroe's a W, but they played pretty well last week. So we will see. Old D, Southern Miss. Southern Miss is a W, and they're favored by 1.5, 58.5. And we got Old D is an even team. Neither team's got a defense. Old Miss scores more than Southern Miss. Southern Miss quarterback's out. He's been out for a while. They don't score a lot. I think Old D could be a good dog in the fact that why the hell is SMU, Southern Miss, a W favored? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Notre Dame, 6.5, 53.5 to Louisville. I'm confused. I mean, I go Irish. I mean, go Hartman. This reminds me of the NC State game, 6.5. I'm beginning to doubt Notre Dame's coach because some of these play calls Why was the Duke game? They had to score with 10 seconds left to win the game on a run up the middle. When I see Notre Dame get a 3rd and 13, I can't figure it out. How the fuck do you stop? They got a great running back and a great quarterback. How can you not be 3rd and 5 or 2 and scoring 40 points a game with this offense? Are you kidding me? So I think the coach has a big problem. Defensively, I like Notre Dame. Louisville, they're not an A team. They haven't shown me much. I think you got Notre Dame even. I don't know. Where do I sign up for that one? Ole Miss and Arkansas. Ole Miss is laying Ole Miss is laying 11.5, 63.5. Arkansas, we saw them last week against A&M. Ole Miss, we saw them against LSU. I would not. Boy, it's a tough one. Arkansas in 17, such a nice Jefferson, Mississippi. Where were they against Alabama? And then they light up LSU. It's at Ole Miss, so it's a hard one to call. Maybe Ark in the points, maybe over with the points. 63. The problem is you get caught into this. You get caught in this watching last week. Oh, they lose 24-10 to Alabama. Oh, they're not really that strong. Then they put up 50 points in LSU, and you're going, well, where was that against Alabama? Now what do I do? So I think that's what you look at. That's why I try to get the general look of, well, really, who are they, and not get caught into, look what they did against Alabama, and then look what they did against LSU. Which team's showing up? Well, that's why I go by the defense. Arkansas doesn't have a defense, so I'm expecting the LSU game, not the Alabama game. And Notre Dame, the same thing. I'm expecting the North Carolina State game or even the Duke game. Duke looks very good. They're so underrated. You get a chance to bet Duke in an even situation. They beat Clemson, and now they really had Notre Dame beat. I'm on Duke the rest of the year. Just give me Duke in points, and it's an automatic. But that's what you learn as you go on. Is Duke is very good. What do we got? Michigan, 19.5, 45.5, down from 46 to Minnesota, who I think is terrible. Their quarterback's 4 touchdowns, 9 picks. That's the problem. When you don't have a good quarterback, you don't have an offense, you're turning the ball over. Here, normally I've been playing Michigan under and winning except for last week. But in this situation, 45, I go under 51. Well, the way Michigan's playing, I'm not expecting Minnesota to score in this game, which means the under is still good. And or do I take Michigan? I can go 13.5. Now, this is the battle of the little brown jug, some old story from 1900. But at the end of the game, the winner gets the jug. It's about this. Well, it's a little bigger than my. So it's like you get the Canadian Club 12-year if you win, so that you can see the incentive. So it is somewhat of a rivalry game, I guess. So hard to say. I'm leaning towards Michigan minus the 13.5, under 14, the way they've been playing. But it's so hard to look at Michigan. They haven't played anybody. The 3 non-conference games, they sucked, and then they beat, Nebraska and Rutgers. They suck. But I'm not sure Minnesota, I think, is Rutgers. The game's at Mini, and it's a 7:30. It's a night game, so they'll be all drunk, and it'll be a red out or whatever Minnesota calls it. I think Michigan, they should win. Should it be low scoring? But Minnesota's defense is not as strong as it's been. So I really have an A team in Michigan who hasn't played anybody against Minnesota, who's really just a weak team. They don't score, and their defense, okay, the first game, Nebraska 13-10, but after that, the last couple have been pretty high scoring. So I think Michigan has an easy day with them. In my mind, I think Michigan um, can handle 13 and a half. I don't see why they can't. This is not the type of team that, like, going to Iowa, they always have problems, right? If this was Iowa, I'd be taking Iowa in 25. But Minnesota does not have the defense. I think there's a lot of injuries to them. Miami, Georgia Tech. Miami is 19 and a half, down from 20, and 57 and a half, down from 58. Miami, Van Dyke looks fabulous this year, back to who we thought he was. Very strong team. What do we got? We got the A&M game. They put up 48 on A&M. Everybody thinking that they're going to beat Alabama. Georgia Tech's been lighting it up. They've been very explosive this year. They've got Haynes King, their quarterback's like 15 and 2. So he's a good quarterback. Miami's pretty strong defensively. It's a big number to cover against an over team like Georgia Tech, who can score a lot. I think this will be a high-scoring game. I think. Well, let's put it this way: Van Dyke will put up 40. What does Georgia Tech do? And again, if we just go to the A&M game, it was an 80-point game. A&M was able to score on Miami, but Miami, you couldn't stop them. So I don't see any difference. Miami's undefeated and at home in a night game. So go my Canes. Maybe Michael Irvin will play in the game. TCU 6.5, 52.5 to Iowa State. Iowa State's got to be pissed off. They don't give up 60 points, not with this coach. So I think that's like Denver last week after giving up 70, actually beat, but they played the Bears. And that's pretty bad if that's all they could do is beat the Bears by 3. TCU is very explosive. TCU this year is an A team, kind of. Iowa State is always an under team. Even giving up the 60, they're an under team, but not the last few weeks. We locked them. We locked them against Iowa. We won. We locked them against under. We locked them against Ohio under, 2 under teams, and it was 10-7. But in the last, we didn't lock them last week, but against Oklahoma, 60-20. Like I said, the guy's throwing pick sixes all over the place. What the fuck are they throwing so much for? So I don't know. Iowa State, I think TCU wins this game. I wouldn't touch Iowa State. I don't think their defense and the quarterback throws way too many picks. Not that I trust TCU, but I think they're the better team here. Fresno State, Wyoming. We hit the lock with Fresno State last week over a week. Nevada over the Z team. Here we got A team, Fresno State against E team, Wyoming. We've got 5.5, down from 6.5, and 43.5. So they're looking at a low scoring game. I'm not sure it's going to be that low scoring. Fresno is an A team. They got a good quarterback, Mikey Keene from UCF. Good defense. Wyoming has not played as strong a defense. Again, they played that 36-35 game with Texas Tech. And then they beat another team a couple of weeks ago who was a decent team. At home, they're a much better team. I don't know. Fresno State's the class of the league, them and Air Force. Wyoming at home, I don't know. They're usually a defensive team, but not this year. So I don't know. That over-under 43 looks way under unless they're predicting snow or something. It's only mid-October. I don't know. Tough call there. Fresno State's the better team. Colorado State, Utah State. Colorado State 2.5, up from 1.5. So money's going. The sharps are going on Colorado State. Oh no, and 64.5. That hasn't moved. Both teams are high-scoring teams. This should be a high-scoring game. San Jose State, Boise 9.5. And 58.5 hasn't really moved. Same thing. Both are very high-scoring teams. We love San Jose State's quarterback, Cabrera. Unfortunately, they had to play USC and another, and I think Oregon or Washington. So they've had a a tough schedule, but that should prepare him for Boise. Again, 58 seems like a low number here. And the Colorado State, Utah State, 64. This one is only 58. So this is probably the better buy as two over teams play a high-scoring game. Texas Tech, Baylor. Why is Texas Tech favored? Baylor's quarterback was back last week, Shapen. They're laying 60, up from 57. Baylor, I think, now with Shapen is more of an over team. Texas Tech, we know, it says it's a B team, but let's look at the Wyoming game, 37-36, 36-35. So, again, I think anytime you get Texas Tech, it's an over game. Now, their quarterback Shaw is out, but I think their backup's been playing well. I think he's been out a few games. Baylor gets Shapen back, who they sorely missed. That's why they're an E, scoring 24. When it's Shapen, they'd be scoring 34. So, again, this looks like a high-scoring game with Shapen back. And, again, it's only 60. So, again, it's a bargain. Oregon State, Cal. Oregon State, 9.5, 51.5 to Cal. Cal has that great running back, Ott. Oregon State has Uglia Buglia. Good luck with that. Oregon State's an A team, and Cal is actually an over team without a quarterback. Their quarterback sucks, but they run the ball. They're going to have trouble running against Oregon State. They got a good defense. How many interceptions does Uglia Buglia throw? I don't know. Will it be like the Washington State game? 34-31 is my guess. Yeah, probably, I don't know. Over-under is 52. You can go either way with it. Tough decision. And last and not least, USC 21.5, 71 to Arizona. I don't know if DeLuca, he's questionable. He's their starting quarterback. The backup came in against Washington. He didn't do much. They got the penalty touchdown at the end to fuck the lock. I was laying 11, and I'm up. Late in the fourth quarter, I got the ball at the 3-yard line and a fumble. So Washington doesn't go up 42-14. They're still up 35. I think it was 35-21, so they don't go up 42-21. And then the penalties happen, right? 4th and 5, incomplete. You think you got it. Oh, no, wait, defensive holding on a play that was a joke. So they march down the field on penalties and score late, and they lose by 7. I'm laying 11 with Washington. I can't believe I lost to the backup quarterback. So, I mean, he wasn't that good, but that's what you do with it. So, with that said, here's the score. Jacksonville State 45-30. And New Mexico 34-17. And then we got tonight's game. So USC 21 to Arizona 71. Do you just play USC over? You're going to be in the 60s. You know they're going to score 40. Arizona's got a decent defense, but Washington put up 35 on it. Really had 42. He fumbled at the 2-yard line. So let's say 42. Well, USC will get in the 40s. So give USC 48 points. The question is, what does Arizona do? Well, we see USC can't stop the wind on defense. This is the coach's problem. He did the same thing in Oklahoma. They scored. He doesn't know how to play defense. He doesn't realize there's a defensive side of the ball also, which is why he never won at Oklahoma, which is why he's not going to win at USC. Till he realizes you can't play this offense and have a defense because you do not rest your defense. So Caleb Williams is running around, boom, 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 touchdown, boom, 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 touchdown. Meanwhile, the defense is exhausted. No running attack. You cannot win with this offense. So you can't win. They're not going to beat Oregon. They're not going to beat Utah if Rising's back. So 21. What does Arizona get? If they got the backup, I don't know. Are they capable of 28 points? So you got 48. Do you get 28? If you get in the if you get in the teens, then it's a USC bet. If you think Arizona's going to score in the 30s, then there's a big difference between their offense and Colorado's offense and UCLA's offense and Washington's offense against USC. And they go play Notre Dame. Well, when they play Notre Dame, just give me anything in the 60s. Now, where Ohio State had this big defense, where I don't know where they got it from, and Notre Dame decided to play defensive ball. Notre Dame USC will be totally different. And if you make USC a 20, if you make Notre Dame a 20-point dog, it will be. We'll be betting the farm on Notre Dame, but I don't think that. I think Notre Dame will be a 7-point favorite at Notre Dame. You can probably take 13 in USC, or if it's 65, we can go over. So what do you do? I don't know what you do with it. Arizona. Now let's check. What do we do with it? Let's look at Arizona's games. We know what USC does, so we don't need to check their games. Arizona, all right, 31-24 to Washington, so it's a 55. Like I said, should have probably been 38-17, so it still would have been a 55. Stanford sucks, 21-20. UTEP sucks, 31-10. Mississippi State, 31-24. They lose. We don't count Northern Arizona. And they only beat them 38-3. So they're basically putting up, all right, 24 on Washington without their quarterback, 21 against Stanford's a joke, 31 against Utah. So UTEP stinks. So basically, you're going to get maybe, let's say, 24 points, 24 on Mississippi State, and they scored late. They're only going to get maybe 20 points. USC is going to get 45. Now, they held Washington to 31, really 38 because they got the fumble. Stanford has no offense, UTEP, and Old Mississippi State, not as strong offensively either. So they haven't played. Okay, give them Washington. Now, they held them to 31. It's pretty good. So that's what you worry about. They held Mississippi State to 31. They held Washington. Now, Washington's an elite offense, 31 points. So USC at home, again, this isn't in the desert. So if we look at that, USC, well, let's take last week's 48, Arizona 21, gives you 69. Should go over, or do we want to take USC in 15? This has been such a struggle. Like last week, I ended up going over, but I couldn't decide because I didn't know if Colorado, after watching the Oregon game, was going to score on them. So you can see the difference between Oregon and SC by that Colorado game, right? So I don't see Oregon this week. A lot of teams on buys this week. Anyway, so I don't know. I guess to be safe with USC, you play for a high score. You know you're going to get it from USC, and you know they can't really play defense. I think if we see that USC's or Arizona's starting quarterback is playing, I think we go over. If we see the backup, I don't think we can play it over. He really didn't do much against Washington. Now, Washington's got a much better defense. But we will see. It's amazing how bad USC's defense is. Like, nobody wants to go to USC. They can't recruit defense. All right, so that is your college and pro. Again, college free pick, Oklahoma plus the 12.5 to Texas. The pro free pick, Miami of Florida Dolphins. Lay the 10 to the Giants, so lay the 4. We can't trust the Giants to score, or we go over. Tonight, Washington, the Bears are a Z team, probably a lot of points. Washington, again, played Denver, but now we're questioning that game because, well, what we take is they did put up 31 last week on Philly, so they will put up. I got them in the 30s against the Bears. I mean, even Denver put up 30 on the Bears. The Bears probably the worst team in the league by a mile. Although the Giants want to compete with them. So what are you going to get from Fields? I mean, is he going to run around and get you 30 points? Is he going to throw 5 interceptions and they beat him 34 to 7? That's where the dilemmas start coming in. You don't know what you're getting from Fields. You know they suck. You know he runs a lot. Washington will pressure him. And if they can put up 31 on Philly, they'll put up much more on Washington. Or on the Bears. Bobby Bowe. Somebody was asking about you yesterday. I can't think of the guy's name. He goes, "Where's Bobby Bowe?" I go, Bobby Bowe doesn't check his schedule with me. I have no idea. But welcome aboard. I can only wait for you so long. Well, where were you, Bobby Bowe? Were you signing autographs or what? Did you try out with the Tigers? Seeing how you'd be the only 300 hitter on the team? So we went through football. Yesterday, we did a little alligator. So alligator does 2 shows, so I'll show you. It was a difficult week because I underwent a procedure this week, so it was on amnesia. Oh, anesthesia. Well, on your hamstring or your back or your knee? I hope you're okay. I hope you recover quickly. So these were the 2 alligators. He was on As Good as Gold Australia, and then he was on with Mark McGuire. And basically, it's the same fucking show. It's basically him talking about Russia. Nobody wants it. They're going to go to a gold-backed ruble, which will skyrocket gold and basically blow up the U.S. dollar. CBDCs will never happen because it's in nobody's interest. The banks run the governments all over the world. It's run by the banks. George Soros, Germany and the U.S. If they run the government, why would they want CBDCs? Because then you get rid of the banks. You don't need the banks because then everybody would go to the central bank digital currency, right? So there's no reason for the banks to vote themselves out of power. It's not going to happen. You'll not get CBDCs, so don't worry about that. Bobby Bowe was endoscope for stomach. Oh, I hope you're okay. Not a huge procedure, was groggy, sure. Have you been tearing Mark McGuire a new one lately? Well, he had alligator on, so I had to be a little nice on it. But as I said, it's the same. It's the same thing. It's Russia. He explains why China and India didn't issue a gold-backed currency for BRICS at the meeting in August because China and India were against it because they're Keynesian. Well, India is, but Russia doesn't care. They're going to do it anyway because they have to because they're sanctioned. So nobody wants to deal in their money. But the key was when Russia sells oil to India, they don't want rubles, or they don't want rupees. Rupees are the Indian money. They don't want them. They're as worthless as the U.S. dollar. As they're discovering all over the world, all these monies are worthless. Russia and China know this. They don't want to get paid this crap for their oil. They want gold. Also got blood work, and the doctor was asking have I been doing and to keep it up as low as look. Well, this fasting and staying away from sugar. Yeah, I guess so. If you made the doctor happy. Yeah, I mean, I don't fuck around with you guys. I don't bullshit you. And you can see, this is what I eat. Right? So If I bitch about something but I don't do it, then I'm an idiot. But if I say eat avocados and every day on the show I'm eating an avocado and I'm healthy, I guess it's probably a good thing to do. And the fasting is a very good thing to do. Um, so just keep that up. The fasting, eat your steaks and chicken and fish. We need to eat a little bit more fish because I was watching our guy today on fish. So he came out with two of them. There's one on top 10 foods that destroy your brain and top 10 foods that destroy your heart. And guess what? They're the same 10 foods: alcohol, sugar, bread, carbs, everything we do. It's funny how it all goes back to insulin resistance. All the foods that give us high insulin and insulin resistance and make us fat and unhealthy and your blood pressure through the roof, fuck your brain and fuck your heart. So it all comes back to just keep don't eat the sugar, don't eat the high fructose corn syrup, don't eat the bread, don't be careful on your alcohol, careful on fried food. The problem with fried food, he says, it's not that it's really fried. They don't use olive oil. It's they keep reusing it. So you go to McDonald's and the oil they use for the fries, they keep using. They don't change it. So you're having preheated, reheated oil, and that's the problem with it. So it's not necessarily that it's not olive oil, but it is that they keep reheating. It's sort of like the farm raised salmon. They keep shitting on each other in the farm. They're not free, and so they keep regenerating. The one thing you did say about fish that you've got to be careful about is the mercury. These fucking idiots are polluting the oceans with mercury, right? Or mercury's getting in there, which is poison. It's deadly to us. So he's saying, be careful. Like this is an orange roughy he's got there. And he's saying the problem with the orange roughy is it lives 150 years and all the mercury that it keeps absorbing is the problem. The same thing with the tuna and the swordfish. The tunas are big fish, but they live a long time. And so therefore they inhale all this mercury from these fucking idiots in Russia and China and Germany that are polluting the water supply. And I don't know a way to clean it up. I used to think you'd squirt lemon on it and it would neutralize the mercury, is what I was told, but I don't know if that's true or not. So he's saying you need fish oil, but be careful. So you can't eat too much mercury. That will kill you. Just the same as smoking cigarettes will kill you. So that's what he's saying. So it's a couple of interesting shows. Then I was watching one on like I eat I'll show you these pills. So there's fish oil, so you eat the pill, right? So you eat the pill, right? Fish oil pill. But there's no vitamin A and D in it. These are better for you. Cod liver oil pills have the A and D. So I get Norwegian, and there's what do I get? 1,000 milligram with gems, which helps everything. And these are wild Norwegian. So these are wild, not farm raised. And they're cod liver oil, which is much better for you than fish oil. So this is what I get: 250 soft gels. I take one a day. Very good for inflammation and just general health. I don't know that it, heart and, heart health, brain function, immune support. But I'll buy a little of that, but really everything it does. So get the cod liver oil over the fish oil if you can. I go to that vitamin store and This is like, I think, $25, nothing big. So I take them when I go meet Jenna. I'll bring her a couple bottles of this because it's so expensive in the Ukraine. So it's funny how she asked me to bring her stuff. So I usually a couple of those cod liver oils or fish oils for her. So be prudent to know when this guy, this and this are the same conversation. The top 10 foods are always going to be sugar, carbs, alcohol. All the sugars are what kill us. Coca-Cola, don't fucking go there. So you can eat them in moderation. You can have a piece of pie, as I say, during the Super Bowl or your birthday or New Year's or Christmas. Yeah, go have an ice cream and pie and that. It's just you can't eat it every day, and you probably shouldn't eat it more than once every week or two, and make sure you keep your fasting going on. So I've been my blood pressure's been fine for 3 or 4 years now, doing what you're saying, Bobby. Yeah, well, maybe he's smart enough to buy gold and silver. But that's the whole key to it, right? You live a happy life. You eat this stuff and you buy gold and silver. And why we age? This is very interesting. I saw this. We age like people that smoke cigarettes or drink a lot age quicker because the body works so hard to fix it. So when you're smoking cigarettes, you're putting poison in yourself. Well, your body wants to clean you up and keep you safe. So your body kills all the poison from the cigarettes, and it works so hard that you age quicker. So when you don't smoke and you don't drink, sort of like me, I drink a little, but I'm never opening my 12-year-old, Bobby. When you do drink a little bit, your body isn't that worried. And when you're fasting, your body can relax. It doesn't have much to clean. You're not, you don't have a kitchen full of dishes that you need to clean. If you just have one dish and you clean it. So it does a lot less work. And people have no clue of my age. They're shocked at my age, and it's a little bit in the hair, but if I do color it, but they have no idea. And I do it a lot for work. So when I get interviewed, they have no idea how old I am. So it helps because they don't want to hire somebody on Social Security. They want to hire a younger person. And I had a really good interview today, Bobby, with the cybersecurity company as their senior financial analyst. So she asked me when I can start, which is always a good thing. She asked me about my money. I told her what I made at Harley, and she was like, "Oh, okay, that's fine." I think she thought I'd made $300,000 or $400,000. I don't know, but I still want to. I want to make my money on this, not that. But oh well, as long as I can buy gold. So keep in mind the reason you age quicker is your body has to work harder, and that ages you, right? So if you let your body kind of relax and you get enough sleep and you don't get stressed, and you get in the pool or you walk where you can relax. The key is relaxing and not the stress. That's why you don't have the cigarettes and that. And if you think of it in those terms, if I don't put shit in my body and make my body work really hard to get me back to normal, that's why you don't eat the candy and the ice cream and the Coke. Your body has to clean you up. And so the more shit you put in yourself, the more your body has to clean you. And that's the problem. So watch him. He's always good. Dr. Ekberg, Dr. Sten. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing, him and Alligator and Egon. You print the dollar to zero, you got inflation, the dollar goes to zero, buy gold and silver. And they're just waiting. Like what Alligator said about the Chinese, he said, the Chinese were going to go with the gold-backed currency, and they know they should, but their culture is a slow one. They just want to sit back and let the U.S. fuck themselves over with all the printing and the dollar goes to zero. Then they'll start backing their money by gold. They don't want to be responsible for coming out with the gold-backed currency, and then the U.S. has to, will nuke them because it's their fault. They don't want to take the blame for the U.S. fucking themselves up with printing and $35 trillion debt. What are you kidding me? So because all that's happening, China's just saying, well, we'll let the boat sink, and then we'll come and clean it up. And that's what they're doing. That's why China is not pushing for the gold standard yet. India is Keynesian, so they're communist, so they don't know anything. According to Alligator, what the English or Britain sends the guys to India, and they send Keynesians. So keep that in mind. The Keynesian guys are the communists. They're for the government to run everything, run the markets, not us. We have to be in a situation where we run things. That's the best for us. That's freedom, opportunity to make money and live a happy life. That's the American dream, is Austrian economics. But they keep going Keynesian, and all these kids are like a bunch of fucking idiots. I don't want to work. I'll let the government take care of me. I want to play video games, and I'm going to buy Bitcoin. This is how the 20 and 30-year-olds are now. I'll live with Bobby. I won't buy a car. Half of them don't own TVs. I couldn't believe it. I have a friend at Mercedes, and she said something like, I don't own a TV. I watch on my computer. I go, how the fuck can you watch a football game on your computer? This is the kids now. They use their computer. They don't use TVs. They don't have cars, and they don't want to work. They just want the government to take care of them. And guess what? Because that does not work. That's a formula for disaster. Oh my God. So what happens when the government runs out of money? Now what are you going to do? What skill set have you learned by doing nothing? Oh, you can play video games and you can buy Bitcoin. That's your skill set. Anyway, I'm reading a lot where here it comes. The stock markets are ready to collapse. The housing market is like this far from collapsing if it hasn't already. So avoid that, Bobby. Do not get into the houses. Fuck that. Just buy the gold and let it go up. Stop worrying about houses. The other thing I'm going to tell you, Bobby, and I told you a few times, is get your fucking contract settled in gold, because you might have looked good when you first signed that. Okay, I'm going to get paid for, a bunch of years out, but you're getting inflated dollars now. So if you sign for $1 million a year, you know what you're getting now? 600,000, because it's inflated. I would get a lump sum of gold right now. You don't, because you're getting inflated dollars. What you signed up for was a whole dollar, but this is what you're getting now. You're getting fucked. You're not getting the true value of your money unless you put an inflation hedge in your contract. I don't know. I hope you did, but I doubt it. Only a few people think like I do to understand inflation is the fucked up dollar and it loses value. So you've been losing value. So I would get it in writing, talk to your attorney. You want to get paid in gold for whatever your kind of $1 million, $5 million, whatever it is, get gold, not dollar. You don't want dollars. And if it is, you've got to index it to inflation. But even that you don't want to do, because they're not going to give you the full 10% inflation. And that's the way to protect yourself. Again, the more gold and silver you get, the better off you are. So a lot of countries are starting to realize it. According to Alligator now, there's 90 trillion US dollars outside of the US banking system, all in Europe and Asia. $90 trillion. When that comes home to roost, as people realize that the dollar's worthless, that they'll start selling their stocks, selling their house, and getting out of the bank. All the banks collapse, housing market collapses, and we're waiting for that COMEX to blow up so gold can go up. This is the one thing I have against Alligator, is he keeps saying, well, it's the value of the money dropping, not gold going up. And I'm like, the value of the dollar is dropping and gold is not going up. Physically, it probably is, but why don't we have a physical market? Where's the physical market for gold? I know what the physical market market for this is not a paper money. In paper, it's worth $2, but in physical, it's 50. Who don't know? It is. This is physical. You go to the store, you buy it, $50. You have the market in it in physical. Why is gold the only thing you don't have a physical market? All the fucking Ponzi scheme. You want to talk Ponzi schemes? This is your Ponzi scheme. So they're telling you to stay in this, get out, don't buy gold. And that's what I was talking about yesterday, Bobby, was all the financial advisors keeping you in paper and keeping you out of gold. They won't tell you to buy gold because there's no commission for it. And they don't give a fuck. So that's your real problem. So they can only put so many fingers in the dikes before it blows up, but it's ready to blow. And energy prices, well, we just got to get out of COMEX. So how does that happen? The Shanghai is just for China. It's physical gold, and it's $100 over, but it's physical, and it's being drawn from COMEX. So we need get all those out of the way, come up with a physical market, just like you do Canadian Club or Mickey Mantle. Where's that? Where's Mickey Mantle? 700. Well, I showed you the 65 Mantle PSA 9, $60,000. Where's that coming from? A market. Somebody has it, wants to sell it. Somebody on the other side wants to buy it. They meet in the middle, and the guy says, "I'll give you 60 grand for it." That's the market. So that's what we need with gold is a market where somebody has it and they want to sell it and somebody buys it. We don't have that. So we got to get out of COMEX to tell us the price. How do we blow it up? I think the Russians are blowing it. They don't want, so the problem is they don't want rupees, which are Indian money, for their oil. And they can't exchange rupees for dollars and then dollars for rubles because they can't get dollars anymore. So the U.S. is forcing them to go on the gold standard, which we don't mind. And it'll have to be priced much, much higher. Will it be a market? I don't know, but it'll definitely be a much higher gold price. So that's what you have. So they don't want rupees anyway. No, rupees are as bad as this is, which is worth 1 cent now. Rupees are 88. So $1 buys you 88 rupees. How bad is that? $1 buys you 97 rubles. Like I said, Daria wanted a bathing suit. She says it's 5,000 rubles. I do my equivalent, it's $50. I'm like, yeah, here's $50 all day for her bathing suit. So that's my point. And it's the same thing with the rupees. All their money is worthless. So they are forced to go out with a gold-backed currency, which forces Russia to start charging gold for oil. And they don't want dollars. Why would I give out it's like selling this for US dollars. No, why would I give you this for dollars? I want gold for this. And they don't want, so they're selling a barrel of oil. They don't want this. They know this is like he called it a candy wrapper. He knows. So if we like Putin or not, we know he likes gold. So he's a smart guy. And that's really what we have is that we have they want to get gold for oil. They can't take rupees because they can't exchange rupees for rubles, which is the whole problem with the whole fucked up system. If I go, you can do euros, US for euros, but I can't do euros for Swiss francs without exchanging my euros for dollars and then taking the dollars to buy Swiss francs. You can't take euros for Swiss francs. It's the stupidest system I've ever seen. So with that said, that's what you have. So keep that in mind. So the gold price very, very soon will be going through the roof. I don't know how and what COMEX does, being a paper market. And will they just go physical? Will they stay paper? But they'll have to raise their price to the more. Russia will want a higher gold price for their ruble backed by gold. Russia can't back their gold at 2,000, back their rupee, the ruble at $2,000 an ounce. There's too many people. There's too many rubles. So it has to be 20, 30,000 an ounce to cover all the gold they need for all the money they need. Then China steps on board with their billion people, and they're going to need gold-backed currency for the yuan. Or we get even better, we get the gold-backed currency by BRICS, which is all the fucking countries. And a lot of the oil countries are in BRICS. And they don't want US dollars for their oil. They want gold for their oil because they're just giving it away because the dollars they're getting are worthless, and they know that. So they're going to start going gold for oil. We need a higher gold price. And that's really what happens. So it'll disintegrate COMEX. How that happens, I don't know. Will COMEX go away? Will COMEX change to a physical price? But it won't stay at a paper price. That won't happen. So we know gold's going up, and we know it's going up very soon. And one thing Alligator said is it could happen tomorrow. It could happen next week. It could happen next month. It could take a year. That's what he's telling us. So as I say, buy your fucking gold and silver today or as soon as possible, because you're going to wake up and it's going to be 10,000 an ounce. You're going to say, fuck, I should have bought more of it. Now, what I'm finding from my coin store where I buy my gold and silver at, he is starting to fuck everybody. So what happens? So, for example, let's say I needed money. So I go to him, I say, here's my American Eagle, my 1 ounce gold. He gives me spot, let's say 1960 at the time. So he gives me spot, and then somebody like me goes in and buys it. And he then he gives him spot plus 100. So the idea is I give him the gold. He gives me 1950. Bobby comes in and says, I want the ounce of gold. Well, it's 2050 for you. I'm adding the premium. So he fucks me because he doesn't give me the premium. And then he kind of fucks Bobby because then he adds the premium in. So he makes his $100. But what's happening? Gold's down to 1825 or whatever. Even with premium, he paid 1950 for it. It's only worth 1930. He's going to lose $20 on every ounce of gold he sells because the spot's gone down so much. So now he's starting to not have any gold to buy because he doesn't want to sell at a loss unless you come in now and sell it, and then he's buying it for 1830. Then he'll have gold to sell, but he won't sell his 1950 an ounce gold. He's got these tenth of an ounces that have been 250 forever. He bought them at 250, so he won't sell them lower than 250. Let's say he bought them for 230. But because the spot's gone down, I'm like, I'm not going to give you 250. At 1950 is one thing. At 1850, these things should be $175. So that's how an INFJ works. Is I figured out his little scam where he's not going to sell what he paid 1950 for because he's going to lose money on it. Well, that's the game we live. What did they say on Attack on Wall Street? That's the risk. You want to play the game, you can win or lose, which is total bullshit. If you buy gold, you can't lose. By the way, Bobby Bowe took a few days to recover from that bad LSU loss to Old Piss. Yeah, I knew that fucked up your little parlay there. Their defense sucks, but great offensive game. Yeah, so maybe we look at betting them over instead of playing them. Damn, had to join a fucking Zoom meeting. Hate those. Yeah, I hate the Zooms. Now lately I've been doing interviews on Teams, and so you're just with one or two people. But yeah, I prefer Teams and Zoom. Glad to have you back, Alex. I'm still taking Alabama. I don't give a shit. But the game I'm giving out, the free game, is Oklahoma over Texas. It should be a very close game. I'm getting 12.5 in Oklahoma. Thank you very much. Jaden Daniels actually did really good throwing deep balls and had accuracy too. Yeah, I mean, the offense wasn't the problem. Their defense sucks. which is surprising with Brian Kelly. He normally has pretty good defenses, but not here. Fuck, I don't think they'll beat Alabama. I had a L-Tech and Liberty teaser tonight. Okay, leaning Bears Commanders over. Two shitty defenses. Well, yeah. Well, the Bears are a Z team. They're just pathetic. Liberty is a very strong team. They got the Coastal Carolina coach, and they've been lighting it up. And if you notice, Coastal Carolina is not the same. I looked at McCall's stats. He's like 8 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. This guy was like 35-6 last year. So you got to keep an eye on the new coach. Alex is falling for the bait and betting weeknight games. Be careful, buddy. Yeah. Well, I bet tonight's game, Washington, the Bears, which I very rarely do. The game you got to be careful is the Buffalo-Jacksonville game. Buffalo is flying to London. It's a London 9:30 game. But the problem is Jacksonville played Atlanta last week there and is staying there. So now Jacksonville is all fresh. So they didn't have to double fly. They don't have to get used to the time. I know, I go to Europe. That first few days is a bitch, but then after a week, you're now sleeping Europe time. That's the thing. You want to go to sleep at like 5 a.m. because that's 11 at night U.S. time. And so you finally get used to going to bed 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, Europe, to whatever country, France, Spain. And then you're comfortable. Then you wake up, it's breakfast, you go spend your day, you're up, you're relaxed. And that's the problem the first few days is the time zone, 6 hours. So big advantage for Jacksonville. Now, are they any good? No, but it's hard to bet Buffalo this week, and it's a total unfair advantage. The Thursday night games, at least both teams are Sunday to Thursday, and the home team has a big advantage. They don't have to travel. But in this case, this is insane, letting Jacksonville stay in London and Buffalo has to travel to London. What the fuck is that? That's ridiculous. You can't do that. Both teams should have to fly to London the same week and not stay over. So Jacksonville is what? They're going to play their next 6 games in London and everybody has to come there? I mean, that's ridiculous. So be careful on that one. Again, that's 9:30 in the morning London time, or our time from London. Yeah, the Thursday games they suck. Game of the year, Dallas Frisco. Put it this way, there ain't going to be many points in that game. Let me say that. And Dak Prescott, how many picks is he going to throw against the Niners? Oh my God. So you got that game. You got Philly and the Rams. It's a real good game. Cooper Kupp might come back this week, although I don't know. He is listed as questionable, and I have heard he's trying to practice. But again, he might be back, but I wouldn't. Maybe he comes back because it's Philadelphia, but I don't know when he's ready. We've got, like I said, so Oklahoma, Texas. So my free picks, Oklahoma, take the 12.5. Very even game, huge revenge game for Oklahoma. Lost 49-0. They will be pissed. Now, will they Ohio State me like Ohio State did last year, where Ohio State lost to Michigan? So I took Ohio State on the revenge, and Michigan got them again. And I'm just scratching my head. And then I don't understand how they played Georgia so well. Like, what the fuck? Where was that against Michigan? That's what I expected against Michigan. So that's what I expect from Oklahoma, getting 12.5. Again, I think both teams are even. Both teams have great defenses, and both have strong offenses. I think Texas runs it a little better, and Oklahoma's got Gabriel, but that's what I see there. We got Washington State, UCLA, very tough game. Washington State's been winning these games at home. Now you got to go to the grass in the Rose Bowl And UCLA's got that new quarterback who didn't do anything against Utah, but he's getting better. So you got that. So keep your eyes on the overs and the unders. And does LSU play this week? No. Well, maybe they do. I don't think they do. No, I think they do. It was the Bobby game of the week. LSU. I think they're on the road. We got Arkansas, Ole Miss. That should be another fairly high score game. Where's LSU? LSU plays at Missouri. They're laying 4.5 and a 64. How do you lay 4.5 with LSU? Why is LSU still favored? I can't understand that. They have no defense. Missouri's pretty good team. I got them as a B, but they haven't really played anybody. I don't know. I mean, 64. I think the only way you can play that game is under. You got the balls to take Missouri in 10. Certainly don't want to play LSU. We know they can't stop the wind. And, as we were saying, it probably will be a higher scoring game. Anyway, you like how we just changed hats so quickly? So that's football. In the pros, it's it's hard. We got the Dallas game. We got Philly, LA. Free pick there, Miami over the Giants. The Giants are the Z team. Miami will light it up at home as they have been doing. Should be a lot like the Denver game, although I don't think they get to 70, but the Giants are pathetic. The two worst teams are the Giants and the Bears. No defense. Giants don't have Barkley. So that's the free pick in the pros. Take Miami, lay the 10 down to 4. I don't even trust them to go over. I don't trust the Giants to score. My Jets are getting 2 points from Denver. How the hell is Denver favored over anybody? They're terrible. But Sean Payton's there, so but watch Zach Wilson have a good game because he's playing the Denver defense. So he should light it up. Then everybody will say, oh, yeah, Zach Wilson, he's pretty good. Well, they're hammering him. He had to play Dallas, the New England, and Kansas City defenses who are pretty good, and Buffalo. So he's played 4 pretty good defense. KC's a 15 this year. They're playing strong defense. So he's had to play 4 strong defensive teams. Now he gets Denver. Now he'll look like a superstar, and then everybody will say, oh, yeah, he's good. They don't take into account who the fuck they played. Who's going to look good after playing Dallas or San Francisco? Nobody. What the fuck? So keep that in mind. Leaning Bears, Commanders over. Too shitty. You're right there. Weekend. Alec, nah, Bobby. Home dog playing well lately. L Tech plus 12. And Liberty will kill South Houston. Yeah, I'm not sure what's with Western Kentucky, but Ohio State put up 60 on them. So it skews their numbers. But Western Kentucky was a pretty good team before they played Ohio State. L-Tech has an injury. Bachenmeyer, their quarterback, sucks, and he's been hurt. So I don't know. But the money is coming on L-Tech. But, Liberty will put up a 60 tonight. So the Bears, they're like the stupidest team. They're like Tesla trying to sell electric cars now. In this economy, they want to sell electric cars. So I interviewed today for a cybersecurity company, and I was excited going, well, you guys will be around. You got to stop the Russians and Chinese from hacking us. I would not take an interview with any car company because they won't be along. I give them another 3 months, 4 months, and they'll be gone. Who's going to buy a car? What, are you going to pay 10, 11% interest on a fucking car? You got $1,000 a month to buy a Camry? Really? How are they going to sell a car? Because the interest rates kill their cost. So the only way they can sell a car now is to lower the cost because of the interest rate. So it's a $25,000 Camry and then add 10% into the thing. So good luck on that, right? Where so they have to lower their cost to get to the. So I'm going to afford $600 a month, and at 24,000, which is what I did, I had 2%. You make it 10%. Now it's 1,500. Let's say it's 1,000, 1,100 a month. Well, I only can pay 600 a month. How are you going to sell a car? You can't sell a car at 1,100 when the market's 600. I can't sell this for $200 a bottle when it's $50 a bottle is the market. How does the market arrive? It arrives from me buying, and you from the consumer buying the good on the shelf tells you what the market is. So if you price it at $50 and it flies off the shelf, okay, I can raise the rate a little. I raise it to $80 and it stays on the shelf. Okay. And as I'm adjusting to figure out what the market will buy it at, that's what I need to do. That's how you get the market. So in the car industry, I'll do a $500, $600 a month payment. It's all I can afford. I got my house, I got my utilities, I got to eat food. All of it's getting more expensive, and I'm not getting any more money. That's why we buy gold and silver, because that goes up with it. So I don't need to get any more of this shit because this is worthless. This is going down, but the gold will go up. That'll offset all the inflation. That's why in the Constitution it says only gold and silver can be used for money, because that's the point of it. That's the only thing that can be used, because you can't fucking inflate it. So you bring in a central bank, and it says no central banks in the Constitution. They have one anyway. They come out with this. They print it to death. You got a $35 trillion debt. So how do you survive that? The only way possible, gold and silver. But they don't tell you that. No, this is what's so fucked up about these politicians and these people in power. Since they're run by the banks can't handle competition of gold-backed currency. Well, fucking banks, why don't you just have gold-backed currency? What are you fucking around? You know that's the only way. You cannot survive with paper currency that's not backed by gold. You can't have, this is not backed by anything. It's fucking worthless. So why do you keep having this? Do you think you're that smart that you're going to do? Oh, but you'll do it. We'll have dollars that won't be backed by gold. It'll be okay. Fuck you. It's impossible. So that's what you have. That's the whole problem, Mike. The banks run everything, and the banks don't want the competition. It's just insane. And you go to a stockbroker, he'll never put you in gold because there's no commission. So you can't even waste your fucking time, and you're going to be attacked on Wall Street. You're going to lose your 60,000. And he's going to say, well, that was part of the game. Well, why didn't you put me in gold, motherfucker? So he should have shot him at the meeting. That's what I would have done. La Tech money line plus 185. Oh, you guys with the money lines. Okay. Does sweating get rid of sugar? This girl gave me a Japanese moon cookie, which tasted real good, but I felt like shit afterwards. Yeah, from all the sugar. No, I think your only answer is a lot of water and a lot of fasting. Your body, so what you've done is you put sugar into your cells, right? So how do you get the sugar out of your cells? By fasting, by not eating, because then the body starts attacking the cells to get the sugar out of it because it needs energy. So when your body needs energy, that's why I fast, right? The body needs the energy. It takes the bullshit you put in. If I eat an ice cream, like you're saying, the body cleans it up by taking the shit out. That's why you fast, and that's the only way. You can't get rid of the sugar unless the body kills it, and the body will kill it if you fast. By the way, any updates on real estate, Professor? Where can I check what rates are? I saw they're like 7.5%. I saw I was riding the bike at the club on, what is it, Fox or CNBC, whatever has the ticker. And it's still an inverted yield curve, which is terrible. So the 2-year bond was like 5 and the 10-year bond was like 4.5. Well, wouldn't it make sense that the 10-year yield would be higher than the 2-year? Why would I hold my money out 10 years if I can get more on it for 2 years? And I saw real estate was 7 or 7.5. However, I don't know what that means. Is that somebody with 700 credit? Is that anybody? I think that's the top credit, but if you don't have that credit, you're probably paying 9 or 10%. It's still high. Inflation's not going anywhere. The government's just fucking everybody over. They want to control us with the CBDC, but as Alligator said, it's impossible because the only way that can happen is that the government votes it in, and they won't vote it in because the banks run the government. And if you go to a central bank digital currency, which means we all go to the central bank, what happens to Chase, Wells Fargo, and all the other banks? They go out because we don't need you anymore. We're going right to the central bank. Well, the central bank's not set up for people. It's set up for other banks. So that'll never happen, but that's what that's the point. We're blowing it up to control you, but they're too stupid to understand. They can't. You don't control people like that. And then they don't want you to buy gold because then you don't need them, and they want you in money. So that's the short answer. So no, just stay out of real estate. It's about to crash. $90 trillion, as I said, of foreigners' money is out there, and it's going to come home to roost. And when it does, they're going to sell their houses, they're going to get their money out of the banks, and they're going to sell their stocks because that's what they have, right? So you got 90 trillion in Microsoft. Well, how do you get your money? You sell your Microsoft, you take your money, you put it in whatever country you're living in. So banks will be blown up, housing will be blown up, stocks will be blown up by the $90 trillion because people don't want their money. People don't want their money in worthless dollars. They want their money in something. They're too stupid to buy gold. Why is there $90 trillion in dollars out there? This all should be gold. And that's because nobody knows, because the government and George Soros is like, shh, don't tell them about gold. And that's the problem. Does having a fast metabolic speed up to autographs? Does having a fast metabolism speed up to autographs? You got me on that one, Bobby. What the hell are you talking about? A fast metabolism speed up the okay, I got that. Does having a fast metabolism speed up the autography? Is that what you're saying? The autography comes out after 18 hours. So having a slow or fast metabolism really won't have an issue on that because it doesn't wake up till 18 hours. Although I did like the autograph part. So you got it. There's after 18 hours it comes out. I don't think there's, if you have a higher metabolism, it's going to come out after 14 hours. I believe it's 18 hours, and then let it work. You need to do a 2 or 3 day fast because the autography is coming out after 18 hours is just starting. So it's like the cleaning lady comes to your house and it takes her 18 hours to get there and to start the vacuum and start cleaning. But you don't want to interrupt her after an hour. She's already there cleaning your house. You let her go. Give her 2 days to clean the house, and the house will be clean. So you don't want to interrupt her as she's doing it, but it takes her 18 hours to get to your house. That's how you got to think of it. So the autography comes out after 18 hours. It cleans your body. It cleans your cells. It cleans the sugar out. If you smoke, it'll clean that. So it cleans you, but you've got to give it time to work. That's why I do these long fasts. I go 48 hours. I'm giving my housekeeper 30 hours of cleaning the fucking house. And you lose a little bit of weight, but it's very healthy for you. So that's the key to it. There is no other way to clean you, but let the autography person comes. Alex, I made a lot of money on Bitcoin in 2018. Okay. I saw a few minutes of the playback of yesterday's class and saw Luke asked when is the system going to blow up? He can't wait. Well, it's a good question, but I showed him, you saw the answer with alligator, right? Alligator saying it's going to be very soon because of Russia going to the gold-backed currency, because they basically, nobody wants it, but nobody can use it anyway. If I went to visit Daria today and I was actually able to get in, I couldn't survive there because they wouldn't take my dollar and they wouldn't take my debit or credit cards. How would I pay for food and everything in Russia if they're not taking US dollars? Well, we're not taking rubles. So, of course, it's not like there's no demand, but it is worthless. So the only way to get out of that is to come out with a dollar backed by gold. And that's exactly what they're doing. But yeah, you saw the answer. I'm happy for you, Alex, that you made money on Bitcoin in 2018. All I could say is I'd be the fuck out of it now, because when the dollar, okay, so let's go fast forward. So let's say you own, I don't know how many Bitcoins people would own, but how is it priced? It's priced in dollars, right? This is the Bitcoin's priced in this. This is worthless. So your Bitcoin's worthless because when this goes to zero, your Bitcoin goes to zero. I have 10 Bitcoins. In what currency? Dollars. Dollars worthless. Well, my 10 Bitcoins are worthless because Bitcoin doesn't have its own value. Gold has its own value. So when the dollar goes out, gold goes even higher, because then the demand for gold takes over the demand for dollars. And that 90 trillion US dollars, the only place they can go to is gold. You imagine $90 trillion going into gold? That price will be way more than 100 grand. Can $90 trillion go into Bitcoin? But if there is no dollars, what is Bitcoin's value? We don't need dollars for gold and silver. This is the point that people don't understand. Bitcoin can't have its own price. It's maybe an asset like, okay, so let's say Bitcoin's the same as my Canadian Club 12-year. Let's say this is worth $100. The dollar goes away. Does this still have a value? Well, maybe it does, but it'll be in gold. So maybe 2 ounces of silver will buy this now. But this by itself cannot be money. Gold and silver are money. This cannot turn into money. I can sell it for gold and silver and then go to the grocery store, go to dinner, pay my bills, but I can't. I need to sell it and buy gold and silver with it. With Bitcoin, what are you going to do? First of all, can you even sell it? And what's the value of it? Gold, I know what the value is going to be, huge. Bitcoin, I don't. And again, you've got to understand it's priced in dollars. So everything priced in dollars goes to zero. That's the problem with the debt. So with that said, now what do you do? So if you hold your Bitcoin and the dollars go to zero, how does the Bitcoin get valued? Now, if you can answer that question, and there's supposedly a value for it, you got to realize Bitcoin's not money. Gold and silver is money. We don't need the dollar to buy things. We can buy houses and cars with gold and silver. You cannot buy houses and cars with Bitcoin unless if the seller will take Bitcoin, if they even have a Bitcoin account, A, and then B, if they do have the account, what are you going to pay them in? Because the dollar's gone. Warren Buffett has $2 billion. And when the dollar goes to zero, what's Warren Buffett going to do? Because all his $2 billion will be worth zero. Now what's he do? But if you had gold, you don't need to do anything. You've got money that can't go to zero. That can only go through the roof. There's no risk in gold and silver. Do you have risk in Bitcoin? How does Bitcoin get a value? It only gets a value if somebody buys it. I don't need that for gold and silver. I don't need anybody to buy it because the value of gold and silver isn't real right now. It's paper. It's JP Morgan doing derivatives to keep the price down. That's how gold and silver are being valued now, and it's going to blow up because here come the Russians saying, we need to back our ruble by gold because nobody wants it. We're going to fuck the whole world because all these fiat currencies are going to go out because everybody's going to want gold. And that's the difference. But not everybody, Putin's not buying, Putin's got 32,000 tons of gold. Does he have 32,000 tons of Bitcoin? I don't think so. And how easy it is for the Russians to put a virus in Bitcoin and then it's all worthless. Probably pretty easy for them, although they're the ones who probably have most of their money in Bitcoin to hide it. Bitcoin's a Ponzi scheme. Gold's, you can't Ponzi it because you can't print it or copy it. So once gold's there, gold's gold. It's money and you can't fuck with it. That's why there's zero risk. They're not going to come like a Salt on Wall Street and say, oh, well, there's 60,000 and gold's zero. Well, that can never happen because there's huge demand for gold. As all the central banks are buying it, and Russia, China are buying it. The only people not buying it are the idiot U.S. people who for some reason don't see value in it because they're all fucking Keynesians. They think they can just keep printing money and nothing will happen to them. What a bunch of fucking idiots. And these are the idiots running the country is the problem. Gareth Soloway said that Bitcoin will fly with gold next year. Who the fuck is that? Was he a Bitcoin guy? So he's saying it so you'll buy it? Because the only way Bitcoin can go up is if somebody buys it. If nobody buys it, the price doesn't go up. So I don't know who he is. I don't really pay attention to Bitcoin people. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's as simple as that's like saying, well, if you're in Bernie Madoff's funds, it'll go to the roof next year. You know, again, why? I don't know why, but it will. You know, why will Bitcoin fly with gold next year? Gold's money. Gold is the out of this, not Bitcoin. So all the central banks are buying gold and silver, not Bitcoin. So, you know, he can say, you know, the sky is red. You want to believe him? I think the sky is blue, not red. I think the grass is green. So if Gareth Soloway or Warren Buffett or any of these idiots want to say that the grass is blue and not green, except for Boise, of course, they can say what they want, but that doesn't make it true. So when The Rock and Stone Cold say Bitcoin's going up, then I'll believe it. Then I'll smell what The Rock's cooking if he says Bitcoin's going up. I think The Rock's probably a gold guy. I mean, he seems like a smart guy. He's probably in gold. Anyway, so that's a lot what Alligator was talking about on both his shows. Costco was selling gold bars and they were selling out within 3 years. Well, they're 1 ouncers. Who knows what their price is? Can you find the price of Costco's 1 ounce gold bars? And they're limiting them to 2 a customer anyway. But they're little, are they from Switzerland or what? But they're the little thin bars, not the big thick silver ones that I have. I'll show tomorrow. I don't want to go get the gold and go through all of it to find this one little bar. But yeah, I mean, but that makes sense. I go to the gold store to buy my gold. Well, the coin store, he sells gold and silver. So I go there. I got a good price. I am curious what the price is, especially with it dropping. But yeah, I mean, of course, people are stupid, but if they see it at Costco, they start believing, which will help the gold price go up because that'll help demand. So that's why I'm saying, so that's an even bigger reason to go buy your gold and silver now at this cheap price. The problem is my store wants to, you know, say, oh, well, we don't have any because the price is too low and we're going to get fucked. So I got to wait for people to sell it to my store, and then I can buy some more. And then if I get this new job, then I can go and buy another 5 ounces. So I'm hoping I get this job. Never heard of it. Maybe it's cybersecurity, Alex. This is the job I interviewed. I'd be a senior financial analyst. And I said to them, well, I'm not worried about you guys going out like I am GM and Ford. They'll go out of business because nobody's going to buy a car now. It all comes to cost. Nobody can afford it. But in cybersecurity, you're dealing with businesses who have to have the security. So it seems like a really good company. So that was my interview today. And she did ask when I can start. And I, of course, said right now. That's the $1 million question you're waiting for in an interview. When can you start? There you go. Let's see. So keep that in mind. You do not have a lot of time to buy your gold and silver. I don't know, Alex, if you're buying gold and silver. You can buy gold and silver at the coin store. You can buy it on eBay, but it's a little bit more expensive because, well, let's look at eBay. Well, let's look at Costco price. Let's see if we can find that. How much is an ounce? So this is what Costco's doing. A 1 ounce pan. So it's a Swiss Lady Fortuna is what they're selling you. 24 karat gold. How the hell are they? They went and sell at Costco's website for just under $2,000. What's wrong with that price? Because so what they're doing is they're selling it for $2,000. But if I go to my guy and he marks it up to $100, and let's see what the gold price is. So here's what Costco's doing, right? So they're just under 2,000. But if you go to gold price, the gold price today is $1,820. So it's $1,819. So Costco should be selling these at about $1,919. Costco is selling them at $2,000. So they're fucking everybody over with this extremely large premium. And then if I go to let's go to eBay. So on eBay, I could go buy it with no tax, and most of these don't have shipping. Like this one, this Cougaran Liberty Coin, 1927 with no shipping. So why go online to Costco and spend $2,000 when I can get this for 1927? And I'd rather have this than the little bar. U.S. free shipping, 1953. So you're going to pay $2,000 for a little bar at Costco, or you can go on eBay for 1953. Or I can go to my store, and if I want this will be 1930, and the Cougaran will be 1890. So why pay $2,000 when you can get it for 1890 or so at the coin store? So again, they're taking advantage of basically morons who don't know what they're doing. Tom Brady card sitting at $4.5 million for a 10-count rookie card. Unbelievable. Joe Montana, $125 for PSA 10 rookie card. Mickey, $60,000, 1965. This is a PSA 9. Can you imagine if this was a PSA 10, you would add at least 1 to 2 zeros to the end of this. It'd be at least $600 to $6 million for a PSA 10. And this looks pretty fucking good. As far as the centering, it looks really good. The corners must be a little dinged or something. The picture looks good. This is worth gold. So keep that in mind. So this is the market. This is free market. This is actually Austrian people that are Austrian economy or into Austrian economics, let's say, not necessarily like me. I'm an Austrian economist, but they aren't. That's what eBay's about. This is a market. I'm selling this Tom Brady card. Well, let's go to I'm selling my Joe Montana card for $125. Is that the market? If there's buyers, it is. If nobody buys it, he has to lower it to $100. Now, maybe he paid $125 for it, so that's the market. So it's somebody selling something, and then there's a buyer for it. So you can see that this is incorrect. This 1953 is a bunch of bullshit. I'm expecting gold to be this price, right? If you're going to spend that on the Montana rookie, you're not going to spend it on this? So you can see the whole misconnection. It's bullshit, right? There's no way in hell that gold should be $2,000 and a Montana rookie's $125. People will obviously spend $125 on Montana rookie. You don't think they're going to spend $125 on gold? Are you kidding me? Gold's different. It's real money. And once people realize that COMEX is bullshit, you got $90 trillion out of the U.S. coming back in. What the fuck do you think they're going to buy? I'm going to sell my stock. I'm going to get my money out of the bank. Okay, so let's say we own $1 trillion. We're London. No, we're Barcelona. We got $2 trillion in U.S. All right, we're going to sell it. Okay, I got the $2 trillion out. What do I do with it? What are you going to do with it? Well, you can't be in U.S. dollars. You know your dollar sucks. So what do you do with it? Oh, I'm going to buy gold and silver with it. What else can I buy? Maybe some real estate, but that would be what's going to happen, and that's why the price will go. But you can see the Montana. So don't think people won't pay $125 for a good asset. Now, the Brady card is a little different, but the Montana, the Mantle, $60,000. So you don't think gold will sell for $60,000? If a Mantle PSA 9 1965 card sells for that, are you kidding me? So that's where I get my numbers from, because I can see what's in the market. People will pay those prices if you have the right thing. Once people realize what gold, how limited gold is, and get out of the paper. See, the paper price. So there's 255,000 tons of gold. I read it here. 244,000 tons of gold, right? That's pretty fucking limited. All right. So that's gold. Once they realize that's all there is, how many people do you think, what do you think the demand is? It's a lot more. I'll especially take 100,000 tons out, because that's what the Russians and the Chinese have, is 100 tons of it. So now there's 144 left between all the 90 trillion out there, us and other countries. So you can see where it's headed. Only the Keynesians are like, well, we're against gold, because they're all crooks. They're communists. They want to print the dollar. They want to have this so they can print it and put it in their pocket and think they're rich, because they're criminals. They're all fucking criminals. They're thieves. They're all Bernie Madoffs. That's why they don't want the gold standard. They don't give a fuck about us. They just want to print this and put it in their pocket, and they don't think it'll lose value. That's really what's happening. So we're sitting there going, well, fuck you. I mean, what we want is we want gold because you can't fuck with us. And eventually the Keynesians' problem is they'll keep printing it, and eventually it is worthless. And then they'll have their thumbs up their ass going, oh shit, we got $1 million, but it's not worth anything. AKA Warren Buffett and Gates and these losers. And hopefully George Soros has his in money and not gold, although he's got Nazi gold when he helped the Nazis kill the Hungarian people. He can't even go back to Hungary. They won't let him in the country. But he got a lot of Hungarians killed. So he's got some Nazi gold. That's how he got his money. So how he lived so long, I have no idea. I can't imagine that they didn't kill him 20 years ago. Anyway, so that's what you have. Did you see there? Yeah, Texas will win. Okay, Alex. I don't care if they win. I got 12.5 with Oklahoma. So I'm not predicting the winner. I'm predicting a close game. And Oklahoma certainly has a very good chance to win the game. So that's all I can say. So this is the whole point, is people don't understand. That was the first thing I did when I saw the inflation coming, because they're printing. I said, what do I do with my money? And I said, well, do I put it in British pounds, Swiss francs, euros? And I said, no, it's all the same. There is nowhere to put your money except for gold and silver. You can't buy stocks or bonds with it. You can't buy a house at these prices. So the only thing left, I don't know what land's going to do for you. Oh, I'll be a farmer and I'll make blueberries and I'll grow tomatoes and carrot. Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure you will. I don't know anything about farming. I don't want to know anything about farming. So I'd rather buy gold and silver and just go to sleep than try to be a farmer. So who's this Soloway guy, Bobby? Give us some information there. More importantly, the question is, why will Bitcoin go through the roof? Because with the inflation, how are you going to value Bitcoin when the dollar goes to zero? Gold will go up because the dollar goes to zero, but how will Bitcoin follow? And it's all Russian. So if the Russians are going to gold-backed currency, would you rather be in Bitcoin or the gold-backed currency? If you're a Russian, you'd rather be in the gold-backed currency. So I don't. Yeah, people can say what they want. Like I said, the sky is green, even though it isn't. I can say it, but that's the problem with it. So what else? So that's basically what's happening. Keep your health. Stay away from sugar. Stay away from carbs, bread, all that shit. Eat your avocados, and the most important is to do your fast. So you finish eating 6, maybe 7 o'clock, and you don't start eating till noon. And if you can do that, no matter what you eat, you'll clean yourself doing the fast. I think that's the most important thing. You don't have, look, we're all going to want a cupcake, or we're going to want an ice cream. Hard not to eat that, right? Now, you don't eat it every day. You take you get a slice of pie or a ice cream, one ice cream. You don't buy the bag or the box of ice cream or the big container of it. You buy one little jug that feeds you, and then you're done with it. Then you go the next 5-6 days without it, and your body cleans you out. It's the people that eat it every day. Bagels for breakfast, Pop-Tarts, cake, ice cream every day. Those are the people that are 500. I saw some guy in the hot tub. He was like this. He had fat on his fat. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's got what, 6 months to live? He had to be 400 pounds. What the fuck? I mean, the stroke he's about to have or the heart attack, it's, and then they're going to wonder why he has it. Fuck, look at this guy. I was talking in the hot tub today about gold with some guy. He seemed interested. He actually came over to me, and we were talking gold, and he says, "Yeah, me and my wife are starting to talk about it." I go, "Well, you better hurry." The part that people don't understand is it's not like bananas where I go to the store today. Oh, I ran out. I'll go get more. Between the price and the quantity, you're not going to be able to buy it. Believe me, I don't know how much Costco has. They're coming from Swiss. So I don't know how much gold little bars they have anyway. But you're overpaying if it's $2,000 when you can get it for $1,900. Most people don't understand that. So I would say Costco's probably getting it he's probably getting it at spot right now, 1840, 1850, selling it for 2,000. So that's all it is. But I'd rather go to the coin store and buy it. Much better. Anyway, I think that's it. I've been doing a few 4-hour ones. I'm like exhausted, and I want to eat dinner. So I think that's about it. So we got our free picks. Take Oklahoma in 12.5, everybody but Alex, and take Miami to crush the weak Giant defense. Again, how do I come up with the Miami game is basically you've got Tagliavua against a weak defense at home. They will put up 45 points, and I don't see where the Giants can. So that's how you come up with it. You're looking at a good offensive team playing a weak defense. Now, Miami against Buffalo, I had the game over. And he did his thing. Buffalo won 48-20, Tig threw what, 5 interceptions. There you go. He does, but it's consistent. You knew they weren't going to beat Buffalo in Buffalo, but you knew there'd be points because Miami can't stop the win. So you're looking for these defensive teams. Tonight, the Bears, a Z team, they give up 34 a game. Washington gives up 30 a game. Enough said. I mean, those are the keys, what you're looking for. The next question is, do the Bears have an offense that can put up the 30 points? Does Washington? Well, Washington, Denver, Washington, the key was the Philadelphia game last week, 34-31. So we go, Washington can do it. I'm not sure the Bears can. They couldn't do it against Green Bay. You know, they lost to Denver. I mean, they did better, but Denver's defense is just as bad as is the Giants. So then you go, well, I don't know if Chicago can, we got Chase Young and we got some good secondary defensive linemen that might stop Fields, but they're not going to stop Thurston Howell the third. Philadelphia couldn't. So that's what you look for. You look for the weakest defenses. And Miami doesn't have a great defense either. But you look for the weakest defense. So we got the Bears and Washington and the Giants and Miami. And Pittsburgh's defense is pretty weak. Arizona's is pretty weak. Denver's is very weak, 38 a game. And then Oakland gives up 25. So when you get a good offense, so when KC plays Denver, they're going to light them up. Here we got the Jets, Jets playing Denver. Or do they have the offense that can really bother Denver? And that's the point. I think they will. I think Zach Wilson will have a big game because Denver couldn't stop Chicago. I mean, that's their defense is terrible, but it's a lot of injuries. So we have to see, but that's what you're looking for. They can't stop them. So if I have a good offense, I'm going to put up 50 points. That's what I'm looking for. So that's kind of like USC Colorado last week. We knew Colorado's got a weak defense. USC's going to light them up, which they did. We didn't know if USC's got a bad defense too. Now let's take this to USC Utah. Now what do? You're playing a Georgia defense. We've seen Georgia shut out Alabama. We've seen Georgia shut out Tennessee. So we know what a strong defense can do to a good offense. The strong defense will win. So when USC goes to Utah, they're fucked. They're going to be lucky to get 20 points on the board because Utah will pressure Williams, and he's not going to have open receivers, and he's not going to have time to throw. So hopefully Rising will be back, but that's a whole nother issue. The fucking LA doctor holding out Rising and Kuthry, the all-pro line tight end that Utah has. They're both had knee problems in the Rose Bowl, and what can I say? At least Rising played in the Rose Bowl, but he got banged up. He got banged up against USC in their first game. He went for 2 to win the game, 42-41. So he won the game, but he hurt his knee on it. And then he beat him in the championship game. And this year's Utah's defense is much better than last year's Utah defense. So that's what you're looking for things. That's the point of it. You're looking for tells in poker. This guy does this. This guy does that. He looks at the TV. He drinks. You're looking for anything that they're relaxed. And if they're relaxed, they're not worried. And if they're not worried, they got a good hand. So it's stuff like that you try to you try to pick up on as keys to doing something, right? So in poker, okay, I'm going to fold when he does that. In football, we're looking for weak defenses, and that takes a few weeks, right? So you've got to look at the defense for a few weeks to realize, now I see Pittsburgh's defense isn't that good, or I see Indy is scoring 23 a game with Richardson. So I'm going, they're not only scoring 6 points a game. So you start to pick up on that after 4 or 5 weeks, and that's the issue. So anyway, good hunting tonight. Washington at 44 is such a low number. I don't understand it. To me, it should be 50. It's like what I told you about the Philly game last week. It was 8.5. I said, why isn't this spread 10? You're letting the teaser better make it -2.5. I bet it -2.5 in the teaser, and they won by 3. And I wouldn't have bet it if it was 10 and I had to lay 4. I wouldn't have bet Philly. But just they got to win by 3, I bet it. And it's the same thing here. I don't understand the 44. It seems like such a low number that I don't really get it. But if they want to give us money, I'm more than happy to take it. Anyway, Bobby Ball, hope you're feeling well. We'll have to look at this Gareth Soloway fellow that you're talking about. And good luck on the games. Good luck this weekend. So there's a bunch out there, some good games. We'll see. All right, www.teaserking.com. I'm going to go eat. And again, the ruble is going to be gold back soon, very soon. The banks will collapse, the high interest rates. The dollar will go out because of the gold. And that's the bottom line. So have a good day. Protect yourself. Buy your gold and silver before it goes out while you still can. Anyway, take care. All right. Have a good day. Good night.